Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto destroys the council chunin exams. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Amaterasususano, link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. The beginning. Did you summon talking? Did you summon thinking? Normal talking, normal thinking. I do not own Naruto, it belongs to Kishimoto. October 10th was just another normal quiet day in the Hidden Leaf village. Everyone, civilians and ninjas, were walking around enjoying the cool air of the night. However, all good things must come to an end. A voice yelled in a private room of the hospital. Damn it, Minato, you did this to when this is over I'm going to castrate you, I swear, the voice yelled again. I'm sorry, Kiyomi-chan, but just hang in there, it will all be over soon, you're almost there, said Minato. If you are wondering, yes, this is the same Minato Namek as the Yellow Flash and Konoha 4th Hokage. You may wonder what's going on. Well, long story short, Minato and Kiyomi are having a baby. You may wonder why the room is private. The answer is simple. The Uchiha clan are against relationships between an Uchiha and non-Uchiha, however Minato and Kiyomi have been seeing each other in private since they became genin. Okay, we're almost there, just one more please Kiyomi-san, and this will all be over, said one of the doctors. You hear that? One more push, Kiyomi-chan, come on, says Minato. Yells Kiyomi as she gives one more push. The next thing you hear is a baby crying as loud as he can. You can see the tears of joy on Kiyomi's face as the doctors hand her their baby. Congrats Hokage-sama, Kiyomi-san, you have a healthy baby boy, says the same doctor from earlier as he looks at the happy family hugged together. Minato, look at him, he's so handsome, says Kiyomi as she kisses the baby's forehead. Yeah, he sure is, says Minato as he wipes tears from his eyes, being overwhelmed at the fact that he is a father now. He looks at his newborn son and notices his features. He has a head of black hair from his mother, however he notices his son has his bright blue eyes. This may cause some stir within the Uchiha clan when they see him. I don't want to have to take out some of my wife's own family to protect my child, Minato says. Don't worry, Minato, I'm from a branch family, the elders, main house families, and the clan head doesn't pay attention to us. The only one who actually talks to us outside of the branch families would be Mikoto. Mikoto, huh? Is she still mad at me about the Kushina situation? No, she isn't mad at you anymore, I talked to her and explained everything. You see, back when Minato, Kiyomi and Kushina were genin, Minato saves Kushina from a group of Kumo shinobi sent to kidnap her, and let's just say Kushina didn't take the rejection from Minato too kindly. Flashback. Minato was out late at night training his taijutsu katas and speed when he noticed a trail of strands of red hair, and he immediately knew it belonged to Kushina. He follows the trail and sees Kushina tied up surrounded by 3 Kumo shinobi, who Minato suspects are chunin at the least and high jonin the most. Minato decides that stealth is his best option of attack. So he takes to the trees and conceals his chakra as low as possible, just in case they have a sensor in the group. Once he is close enough, he pulls out a kunai and makes his move. His first victim is the tallest one, bringing up the rear. The unexpected shinobi is walking, thinking about the amount of money he is getting from this mission. He was so in his thoughts that he didn't recognize the mop of blonde hair sneaking up on him until it was too late, when he felt his throat get slit and stabbed in his temple before the assailant was gone. All the 2 shinobi in the front heard was a thud and looked back to see their leader on the ground dead. Shit, we were followed, said one of the Kumo shinobi. Quick, back to back so whoever it is can't sneak up on us, said the other shinobi. They stand back to back and hear a whizzing sound and barely have any time to dodge the kunai. One shinobi managed to jump out of the way, however the other was not. As soon as he was about to jump, it was too late, the kunai was already embedded in his skull. Damn, that was my last kunai I had. I was hoping to take them both out at once. Minato thought as he looked at the last Kumo shinobi who was on the branch below him, armed with 2 kunai, looking around. Minato needed a plan to take out the last shinobi so he could grab Kushina, who was still walking ahead, not realizing what's going on. Minato notices a thin branch that looks easy to pull, so he takes it, pulls it back, and lets it go as he falls down to the same level as the Kumo shinobi. His prey make a mistake that would cost him his life. He looked up to the sound of the branch, snapping. All he knew next was a foot connecting to the side of his face, sending him flying into another tree with a sickening crunch sound as his skull hit the tree and his neck snapped. Minato, landing on the ground, watched as the last shinobi lifeless body hit the ground. He made his was to Kushina, who was still walking aimlessly ahead in the same direction. Kushina, Minato says. Kushina looks up at the sound of his voice, gives a weak smile, and before she can speak her legs give out and Minato rushes forward and catches her and unties the ropes, picks her up bridal style and leaps into the trees. Hey, what are you doing? Kushina says while trying to hide her blush as she looks up at Minato and notices how handsome he looks with the moon shining on him. I'm rescuing you, what does it look like I'm doing? You're hurt and can barely walk. This is the quickest way to get back to the leaf and have a doctor check you out, he says with a smile on his face. No, I mean, why are you saving me? Everyone thinks I'm an outsider and picks on me. During the academy you never stood up for me, only stared at me with a look of pity, and always looked away when I saw you staring. How did you even find me? She replies, I'm helping you because you are a leaf shinobi, and we always stick together and help our comrades. I never stood up for you in the academy because I knew you could handle yourself against those bullies. I always stared at you because you were cool, and I was hoping we could become friends one day. But you looked at me as if you wanted to hurt me as well, so I never bothered and I found you because I seen the trail of red hair you left behind and I immediately knew it was yours. While he is talking she is looking up at him with a slight blush on her face that he doesn't see due to him looking ahead leaping through the trees. Hey Minato, yeah Kushina wa he was cut off by her lips, meeting his eyes are wide while she stops and has a huge blush on her face. After a moment of silence due to him getting his brain functioning again and her looking away with a nuclear blush on her face. Minato speaks, Kushina I'm sorry, but I can't be with you if that's what you are hoping for I'm sorry. At this she explodes what do you mean you can't be with me? You were the only boy I've kissed and I love you, but you want to reject me are you serious? I'm sorry Kushina, but I have somebody else and we've been together ever since we became genin. I'm sorry, but if I never met her I would be open to dating you or seeing where this goes, but for now all I can give you is friendship. Kushina still mad replies, whatever Minato just take me to the damn hospital. After Minato takes her to the hospital he heads home, but stops at a training ground where he sees his girlfriend Kiyomi training her shuriken jutsu, and before she can start again she notices Minato, but the look on his face is a look of sadness and guilt. She asks what's wrong, and he breaks down and tells her everything she comforts him over his first 3 kills, and although she was originally mad at the kiss it wasn't his fault and she couldn't blame Kushina since she didn't know. After Minato calms down he thanks him with a kiss and goes home. The next day he is at the academy waiting for his team assignments when an enraged Mikoto comes up to him and yells at him accusing him of using Kushina to try and get in her pants, calls him a loser and a horrible person, and walks away leaving a stunned Minato and crowd. Flashback end. After that Mikoto became cold to Minato and had a deep hatred towards him even after Minato and Kushina made up, they even became friends actually they were more like brother and sister. That's good I was hoping our kids would be friends. She recently had a son a couple months back right? Yes she named him Sasuke she replies. Well congrats to her we will have to he is cut off by a loud roar. What the hell was that? A shinobi has busted through the doors he was guarding. Okage-sama this is horrible it's the Kyuubi no Kitsune. But how never mind get all Jonin and Anbu on the front lines to fight. I want all Chunin and Genin too to get the civilians to the bunker after the civilians are safe tell the Chunin to come to the battlefield except Kakashi he is in charge of watching the Genin guarding the civilians hurry up. Hi. Kiyomi-chan I know Minato go I'll be waiting he kisses her and disappears in a yellow flash. Battlefield. Minato is standing on his face on the Hokage monument when the Kyuubi starts gathering red and purple chakra into a ball. Minato sees this and gets out a tri-pronged kunai going through hand signs. When he is finished the Kyuubi launches his tailed beast bomb, but a barrier appears absorbing the attack, sending it far away into the forest. However before Minato can breathe an man appears behind him and tries to absorb Minato into some kind of vortex however Minato escapes and the man leaves to find him. Hand-in fight between Minato and Madara Aka Obito however they don't know it's Obito. Minato flashes back to the battlefield to face off against the Kyuubi. After going through hand seals Minato yells out, summoning Jutsu Food Cart Destroyer. Out comes a giant red toad named Gamabunta who lands on top of the 9 tails. Bunta I need you to hold down the 9 tails while I get ready I have a plan. Easier said than done Minato. But I'll try. Minato what's the plan what are you doing asked an elderly man holding a staff known as the professor of shinobi and the 3rd Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi. I'm going to seal it away to save the village from any more destruction. I'll be back. Before Hiruzen can reply Minato flashes away. Hospital Kiyomi room. Minato arrives at Kiyomi room to tell her his plan and what he sees before him is heartbreaking Kiyomi is dying, while shielding her some from the Kai and demonic chakra in the air from the Kyuubi. She smiles weakly at Minato with tears in her eyes, knowing she won't live after tonight. No words are said as she already knows what Minato plans to do and he begs him to come along to be with her family one last time. Minato grabs her as she holds onto their son and flashes away to start the sealing process. Battlefield. Minato arrives back on top of Gamabunta and asks him to hold him for a little while longer so he can gather enough chakra. Once he has enough chakra he flashes himself, his family, Gamabunta and the Kyuubi away. After they land in another part of the forest, Minato sends Gamabunta back to his summons world and faces the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi, realizing he is free, gets ready to attack when golden chains made of chakra hold him in place, while creating a barrier to keep anything from leaving or entering. Kushina Minato and Kiyomi yell seeing her condition. She is battered and has bruises all over her body, with some cuts on her arms, while her clothes are torn up. Minato, I was attacked by a man in a mask claiming to be Madara Uchiha. He ambushed me and ripped out the Kyuubi from the seal. I know Kushina, it's not your fault he snuck up on you, he also fought me, but I managed to get a hit on him with my Rasengan, and he retreated. Now I'm about to seal him into my son. I know it's wrong, but it's the only option. I can't reseal it into you as it would just break out again. This is the only way. Kushina smiles sadly knowing he is right. Can I hold him please? She asks weakly. Kiyomi smiles and hands her their son. What's his name? Kushina asks. His name is Naruto, they both reply. The Kyuubi roars as he fights against the chains, but they won't budge. Minato seeing this summons an altar and places Naruto on it. He begins going through hand seals to start his plan. Reaper Death Seal. Hiruzen arrives at the sealing area and recognizes those hand signs and tries to stop Minato from summoning the Shinigami, but it's of no use as he can't enter the barrier. He can only watch on as his successor and two of the best kunoichi sacrifice their lives to save the village. After Minato finishes the hand signs, a spectral of the Shinigami appears. Mortal, why have you summoned me to this world? The Shinigami asks. Shinigami, I would like to seal the Kyuubi into my son Naruto, Minato says. Very well, however the cost of this sealing is your own soul, says the Shinigami as he begins to chant while he stabs and cuts open his stomach. After the chant is done, the Shinigami reaches out and his spectral-like hand goes through Minato as he winces from the pain. The hand then grabs hold of the Kyuubi, but for some reason the chains weaken enough and the Kyuubi lashes out at Naruto to kill him. However, Minato, Kiyomi and Kushina jump in front of the Kyuubi claw and are impaled by it. On the outside, Hiruzen can only watch in horror and sadness as all of this is happening when two Anbu appear behind him. Okage-sama, the civilians are secure in the bunker with Genin on watch with Kakashi Haddock on standby, says one Anbu. But I want you and all available Chunin and Jonin Anbu to start looking for any and all casualties. Will you two stay with me? Hi Hokage-sama, reply. Both Anbu leave, however both Jonin stay behind. In the barrier, Minato and Kiyomi have just finished saying their last words to Naruto. Canon's speech just replaced Kushina with Kiyomi. Meanwhile, Kushina says a few words of her own. Naruto, this is your Oba-chan. I wish we could have had more time to be together. You would be like the son I never had. I leave to you all the Uzumaki sealing items, it's all I have left in life. Something tells me with you being the son of Minato, you will be interested in Fuinjutsu. She pauses to cough, but blood comes out. I know how the life of a Jinchuriki is. It will be hard, but you can't let the hate and anger of the Biju take over. You must counter it by love and happiness, so please, no matter what happens, do not go down a dark path in life. I love you. I wish you the best in life. She finishes with tears coming down her face. Minato looks on, sad that neither will be allowed to live to raise his son, but trusts the Sandom to look after him. He smiles as he says his final word. Seal the Kyuubi roars one last time as he is sealed inside Naruto. After the seal is complete, the Shinigami removes his hand from Minato while removing his soul. At the same time, Kushina and Kiyomi both fall to the ground on their last breath. The barrier drops and Hiruzen and the two Jonin with him come rushing in. Kiyomi, Kushina, hang in there. I have medical help on the way. It's no use, Hokage-sama, we're done here, it's time for us to move on. Kiyomi says his name is Naruto. She says, motioning to her baby boy, I want you to give him Kushina, last name of Uzumaki. I don't want him to be used as a weapon for the Uchiha clan if he awakens the Sharingan, and he can't take Minato last name due to Iwa being willing to do anything to kill him or his legacy. Wait until he is a Chunin or Jonin to tell him about us. Unless he awakens his Sharingan, you can tell him about me, but you must not tell him about his father until he is Chunin or Jonin, or when you deem him worthy of knowing. I left him all my notes on my Taijutsu style. If he is like me, he won't be really good at the Uchiha style of Taijutsu even with the Sharingan. She reaches in her robes and pulls out a scroll. This is for him from me. I want you to give this to him after you tell him about me. Minato has one as well, but it is sealed in your office with a blood seal only able to be opened by Naruto. Please take care of him, Hiruzen, that's all I ask, please. I love you, Naruto. She kisses her son one last time before she takes her last breath. Hiruzen looks down in sadness with tears in his eyes. He looks over at Kushina and sees that she is no longer breathing, but has a scroll in her hand and assumes it's for Naruto, so he takes it and puts it away. As that happens, the Jonin appear and help him with the bodies, looking down in sadness and hatred at the bodies of the Hokage and two of the most powerful kunoichi from the Leaf Village and the newly born Jinchuriki who they wish they could kill. Hiruzen, seeing the hatred in their eyes, can only sigh as he knows he would have to retake the mantle of Hokage to protect Naruto. They collect the bodies and leave to deal with the backlash of the attack. Chapter 2. Friends, food and a new house. Biju summons talking. Biju summons thinking. Normal talking. Normal thinking. I do not own Naruto or any of its characters, those rights belong to Kishimoto. Kill the demon. Why would you bring that thing in here? Let's burn it alive. Throw it in the forest of death to be eaten. These were some of the things being said by the civilian council. You may wonder why. Well, Hiruzen Sarutobi just announced to the council about Naruto being a Jinchuriki, and as you can see, things did not go so well. Having enough of the bickering and screeching of the civilian council, he lets out an enormous amount of kai which causes everybody to be quiet and stare at him scared. While the civilian side of the council is scared, the shinobi side and's clan heads are smirking or openly laughing, except for two who have stoic looks on their faces, these two being none other than Fugaku Uchiha, the head of the Uchiha clan, and Hiashi Hyuga, head of the Hyuga clan. Naruto will not be killed and that is final. If you kill him then the Kyuubi will just be released again and we don't have another seal master like Minato or Kushina around to seal it. That is when a man with pineapple hair and a lazy look on his face that makes him look like he is sleeping spoke up. Okage-sama, not that I am against Naruto, but we still have Jiraiya as our final remaining seal master. Says Shikaku, head of the Nara clan. Yes, we do have Jiraiya, however, as great as he was at seals, something like sealing a tailed beast as powerful as the Kyuubi at best, he would be able to suppress it with another seal, should it try to break out. Compared to Minato and Kushina, Jiraiya was an amateur in sealing despite him being a seal master. He hasn't mastered the Uzumaki level of sealing like Kushina has, and Minato was well on his way to mastering them before he perished. Hiruzen responded. Suddenly a man with bandages over his right eye, short shaggy dark brownish hair with a scar on his chin speaks up. Hiruzen, what has happened to the Uzumaki Fuinjutsu scroll? If you would like I can hold on to them for safekeeping for you and keep them out of the wrong hands. He says while barely hiding his hunger for knowledge. That is a question I cannot answer. Danzo, for Kushina was the only person who knew where they were and what would happen to them should she die. Hiruzen calmly replied to the now named Danzo, who had to hide his frustration at not being able to get his hands on something so powerful. Hiruzen, however, had a good idea where all the Uzumaki Fuinjutsu notes and scrolls were, and it might have something to do with the scroll he found in Kushina's hand. Getting over his anger while hiding it rather well, Danzo makes a suggestion. Very well, however, this brings up the question of the Jinchuriki. If you want you may hand him over to me, and I can give him the proper training and conditioning to use his powers, make him a powerful tool. He was cut off by Hiruzen. No Danzo, you will not be getting Naruto to turn him into a mindless weapon to use at your own disposal. Now with the passing of Minato, I will be taking over as Hokage once again starting now. He says there were no objections except from Danzo and the two elders, but he ignored them. Now the status of Naruto being a Jinchuriki is now S-class secret and nobody will speak on it, no one of his generation shall know about it, nor will any harm be done to the boy. Minato wants him to be seen as a normal boy and not the beast he contains. The punishment of revealing this is death. Do I make myself clear? He yells out the final part, adding kai to get his point across. Everybody nodded. However, the civilian council and elders have already begun plotting ways to harm the Jinchuriki or break him mentally to become a weapon for the village. Now onto the casualties and repairs we need to make for the village. He say while on the inside he is thinking I'm too old for this shit. 4 years later, and stay out demon, yelled a lady who looked to be in her mid-30s. That was what he has been called since he can talk and understand what people were saying. Why they called him this he didn't know and nobody would tell him. He had no friends in the orphanage except a girl with 2 buns in her head, however she was adopted a little over a year ago, so he was alone now. He knew his name only because of an old man he liked to call his. Gigi always reminded him of his name and showed him kindness. This man was the 3rd Hokage and the only other person in the village to treat Naruto with respect and showed him love. Now however, little Naruto is walking through the village late at night hungry and tired when he smells something lovely. He follows the scent and finds a small little restaurant called Ichiraku's. However, Naruto, having been treated bad by all adults, he sees, turns and walks away until he bumps into an older man with a chef hat on his head. The man looks down at Naruto and smiles sadly. He knows who Naruto is and who his parents were because they were close friends. Hey young man, I'm Tucci. Are you hungry? You look like you could use some food. He says as he introduces himself but couldn't help but be angered by how frail Naruto is, so he offers some food. I would, but I don't have any money, mister. I'll be fine. I always go a week without eating food at the orphanage, sometimes 2, so it'll be okay for a couple of days. Naruto responds in a small yet shy voice. Now Tucci was pissed. How dare those idiots at that orphanage treat Minato's son like that? Wait until Hokage-sama find out about this. He thought to himself. However, he cleared those thoughts away as he looked back at Naruto. Nonsense, come on, it's on the house. I couldn't charge you even if I wanted to. He says and grabs Naruto by the hand and leads him into his shop. When Naruto sits down, he is greeted by a girl maybe 5 to 6 years older than him. Hi, welcome to Ichiraku's. I'm Am. The girl says with a smile, holding her hand out. Naruto, he responds while tentatively taking her hand. Tucci sees this and smiles. He wished he could have adopted Naruto, but the council banned anybody from adopting him. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of Naruto's stomach growling. Laughing, he says, I'll get you some ramen. Naruto, just sit there. He goes and starts to prepare the ramen. Meanwhile, Am is talking to Naruto a lot and he seems to have gotten over his shyness and is laughing with her at some of the jokes they share. So Naruto, what is your dream for you when you get older? AM asks. I want to be Hokage and maybe start a family with a girl I love. I don't want to marry anybody I don't love or have a lot of women, it's not really my style. He says, which is weird for a 4-year-old to say. Naruto, how do you know about love and marriage? She asks. Well, I couldn't get any kid books at the orphanage so I could learn how to read, so I seen some orange book with a man and woman on the cover of the book and started reading it. I didn't understand some of the workouts, but they sounded interesting to try out, I guess, because in the book the man and women were sweating and breathing hard after they were done, but I got uninterested when he started working out with 10 women at one time. Like, how can he do that? It's not possible. He says while AM is blushing up a storm at Naruto for reading a porno, but he didn't know. Meanwhile, Tucci was finished with the ramen for Naruto and had a tray with 3 large bowls on it. If he is like his parents, this won't even be enough to fill him. He thought as he remembered his best customers spending a fortune on ramen. However, he pauses when he hears AM ask Naruto what his dream was and couldn't help but cry, as those were the same words Minato said when he became a genin. However, he did almost burst out laughing as Naruto described the book he learned to read from. He might have to give Naruto the talc in a few years. Alright, 3 large bowls of miso ramen. Naruto on the house eat up. Tucci says as he comes out the back with a tray of ramen bowls. Naruto is intoxicated by the smell and couldn't help but drool at the food in front of him. Itadakamasu, Naruto says, and after 5 minutes the 3 bowls are gone and he asks for more, causing Tucci to laugh as he heads to the back to make more. After another 10 bowls, Naruto bids farewell with a sad look on his face and begins to walk out. However, a hand on his shoulders causes him to look back and he sees Tucci smiling down at him. How about you stay here tonight and tomorrow morning we can go see the Hokage about your living arrangements. Naruto, not being used to such kindness, stares at him in shock and rushes to hug him, thanking him over and over. They close up shop and Naruto helps. They go through a door in the kitchen that led upstairs to their apartment. It was a decent-sized apartment with 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen and living room. AM leads Naruto to the extra room where he will be sleeping and gives him one of her father's shirts so she can wash his clothes for him, since it's all he has. The shirt was so big all you could see was Naruto's head, everything else was covered up. Naruto fell asleep that night with a smile on his face and had the best sleep he has ever had. Next morning, Naruto wakes up and goes to the kitchen and sees AM making breakfast. She greets him as she gives him some food to eat before saying they are going to see the Hokage later, so the shop will be opening late. After everyone eats they get ready to leave. However, when they open the door, the Hokage is there with 2 Anbu behind him, one with gravity-defying hair and a dog mask, and a taller one with brown hair. However, Naruto, being used to the feeling of hatred, can feel it coming from this certain Anbu in a monkey mask. Hokage-sama. Tucci greets them with a bow. We were just about to come see you to talk about something important about Naruto. Yes, I was coming here to tell you the civilian council wanted you arrested. However, I know better than to believe anything they say, so let's go to my office. He replies. They got to his office and began to talk. So Tucci, do you mind telling me why Naruto was living in your house now? Hiruzen asks but doesn't really care, but has to do it for the elders minus Danzo are in the room. Well, Hokage-sama, in all honesty, Naruto does not live with us. He was staying there for the night since he doesn't have anywhere to live. As I told you earlier, we were on our way to speak to you. However, I believe it would be best if Naruto were to explain what happened. Tucci replies. No, that boy has nothing to say during this meeting, we won't hear it. Says the old lady who is one of the elder advisors named Kaharu. She lost one of her daughters and husband during the Kyuubi attack and holds a deep hatred towards Naruto and blames him. She didn't want Hiruzen to become Hokage because he would protect the boy she wanted to harm. Kaharu, behave yourself, let him speak, he has a right to speak as much as us during this meeting. After all, it is about him. Go on, Naruto tells us what happened. Replied the other elder advisor named Hamura. He lost family as well to the beast when it suddenly attacked. However, he had his suspicions about the attack because as far as he knew, Minato just checked the seal the day before and seen Kushina's condition before the burial and noticed it looked like she was on a serious fight. He didn't blame Naruto, hell, he felt sad for the boy knowing what he contained. He wasn't against Hiruzen becoming Hokage despite voting against him, he was only looking out for his friend teammate's health and believed the stress would kill him. Naruto, nodding at him, told them everything from how he was treated in the orphanage to him being kicked out. However, what he said next shocked everyone. I know about the law that prevents anybody from adopting me for being a demon and disgrace to the village. The lady at the orphanage made sure to tell me that every time somebody was adopted, especially when my only friend was adopted and taken away, but I will not say her name, I don't want her treated badly like I am. Is it possible for me to have my own place I know how to clean, since the orphanage had me cleaning up every day while they took all the kids out to play or walk around the village? He says, not noticing the shocked angry looks on 4 people in the room and a look of smugness on the other. Very well, Naruto, I will find you a place to stay after I am done at the orphanage. However, I want you to stay with AM and Tucci until then. Don't worry about opening up shop today Tucci, I'll cover the amount you would make. How much exactly do you make on a Friday? Hiruzen asks. Tucci and Am are standing there in shock over the kindness, but he begins to run numbers in his head for about 2 to 3 minutes before he responds. We make about 1,500,000 ryo on a Friday due to a lot of ninjas returning to the village from missions and are always hungry and want something that can be made quickly. He replies. Hiruzen, knowing how ninjas eat, isn't shocked that much but wasn't expecting that much. However, he writes a check to Tucci and says to take it to his secretary so she can deposit it to his account. Tucci bows and leaves with Am, leaving Naruto behind to finish his meeting with the Hokage. Orphanage. Hiruzen walks up to the orphanage and sees the helper for the day at the orphanage, a girl named Kurenai Yuhi, a fresh chunin who has been helping at the orphanage on her off days ever since she was a genin. She sees him walking in and greets him. Hello Hokage-sama, may I ask why you are here today? She asks. Yes, I am here to see Naruto Uzumaki for the day. It's time for our usual lunchtime at Ichiraku's. He says, but it's a lie since Naruto just met them yesterday, while inwardly seeing how she would react to his name, knowing she lost his only remaining family during the Kyuubi attack when he went to the front lines to hold the beast off. She later found him dead under rubble during the cleanup, and it took a lot for her to get back into training. To his surprise, she took on a sad look and let out a heavy sigh. I was actually going to talk to you about that. He has been beaten a lot while staying here. I was walking around helping out 2 years ago when I seen the matriarch beating him a broken pipe, claiming it was his fault, but he told me not to say anything, and every time I came after that he would always stay away from me and say he doesn't want me to associate myself with a no-good demon brat. Although the Kyuubi heals him physically, it's the mental scars I'm worried about. But I haven't seen him all day. In fact, I hadn't seen him last night when I usually come check in to start my shift, and his room was empty. She replies with tears coming down her face. It's alright Kurenai, Naruto is safe. He is with Tucci and his daughter Am right now until I find him an apartment later on today due to the law surrounding him being adopted. However, I am going to need all the money I've sent here for him to be taken care of with. He says. I'm sorry Hokage-sama, but for the past 4 years I've been working here his money account was always empty. I assumed they would spend it on him, however I doubted that since all his clothes we poorly taken care of and looked like he was stitching them up to wear them more. Kurenai, are you telling me the orphanage has been stealing his money from him? He gets a nod back, but what gets him even more angry is when she says they always have new clothes and jewelry for themselves and clothes and toys for the kids minus Naruto. Kurenai, over the last 4 years I have sent over 400,000 ryo and you're telling me they haven't spent any on Naruto. He gets another nod. Thank you Kurenai, I will need you to watch the orphanage for 2 weeks while I look for new caretakers. I'll double the pay since you are a chunin and you will still get your chunin pay on top. Think of this as a B rank mission. He says she is so shocked that all she can do is nod in agreement. He leaves to talk to the lady who is in charge of the orphanage, along with her help that were all about to lose their job, however they didn't know it. What he sees disgusts him. The children at the orphanage are throwing food around, more specifically at the wall, but what's on the wall is what gets him mad. On the wall is a picture of Naruto that looks to be taken right after he was beaten with the words demon on it, and somebody drew 9 tails behind him, most likely one of the adults who are sitting in a chair, laughing about getting rid of the demon child while counting money. He walks up to them slowly before speaking. Good afternoon ladies, how are you today? He says with a fake smile, scaring them in the process. DG, good afternoon Hokage-sama, how many I help you? She replies while inwardly scared because she knows why he is there after looking at the clock. Oh, I'm just here for Naruto. It's time for our daily walk that we do. I figured I would take him to get some lunch, anything that gets me away from my paperwork. He says while this was true he wanted to get away from paperwork, he was still setting them up. I'm sure you are Hokage-sama, paperwork is indeed troublesome, always having to make every single thing is accurate and on point, she says while laughing, not realizing she fell for his trap. So do you mind if I go up and get him now? I'm sure he is getting impatient. He says. No, that's okay Hokage-sama, we can go grab him, she says as her and the rest of the helpers rush up to Naruto's room. What are we gonna do? He is here for the demon brat and we kicked him out last night, says the lady from the front desk. After a while one speaks up. I have an idea, he gets the demon brat and we keep our job, she says, then explains the plan and they all grin. After a while they all return with Naruto and they start along with the plan. Everything was going good and fine until Hiruzen asked a question. Naruto, are you ready to head out and grab some lunch at a ramen stand that I'm sure you love? He says with a smile. Naruto responds in a tone too happy to be him, and that's when they fall into his trap. Hiruzen snaps his fingers and suddenly 4 Anbu appear and release the hinged orphanage worker who was a former ninja. Now did you really think I would fall for a simple hinge? I know Naruto isn't here and I know you have been stealing his money that I've been sending for his care. Now Anbu, take them to the tea department, I want to know everything they've done to Naruto and how much money they have stolen. He turns to Kurenai and smiles at her. Kurenai, I will be sending some help for you over the next 2 weeks until I replace the workers and head of the orphanage. After that I have a request that has come into my office that I think you would like. Thank you Hokage-sama. She says with a bow. Naruto was over at the Ichiraku's learning how to cook from both Am and Tucci, making sure he knew the basics of cooking at least, since he will be living by himself from now on. Then there was a knock on the door and Tucci opened it to see Hiruzen with a smile on his face. Hokage-sama, come in. Thank you Tucci, however I only came to show Naruto his new apartment. I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. He says, and Tucci smirks at this. The building, although in the red light district, has been renovated by Minato, along with 3 to 4 blocks surrounding it. Minato was in the process of cleaning up the slums of Konoha before he died, so the people there respected Minato the most. He added stores which created jobs, however some things never changed a lot with the brothels and crime rate. Tucci saw the way the apartment was that Minato set up for Naruto, for when he moved out he didn't have to pay rent. Since Naruto technically owns the building, however, he can't collect any rent from people, yet he has to wait till he can publicly claim his inheritance. Naruto's apartment was set up with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, with one being connected to the master bedroom, a kitchen with everything included, and a living room that already has couches in it and a coffee table. Naruto, come along now, we have to get to your new apartment. Hiruzen says. Naruto nods and gives Tucci and Am a big hug and goes to his new apartment with his Jiji. Chapter 3. The Awakening. Biju summons talking. Biju summons thinking. Normal talking. Normal thinking. I do not own Naruto, it belongs to Kishimoto. 2 years later. It's been 2 years since Naruto moved into his own apartment. He still talks to the Ichirakus and visits them almost every day, as well as his Jiji, as he likes to call the Hokage. However, right now we find young Naruto running for his life from an angry mob. He doesn't know why this happens. All he does is mind his own business, but the people still chase him and beat him whenever they can due to him constantly running. He is as fast as a high genin shinobi, and he is only 6. That usually is enough to outrun a mob. However, these aren't just civilians. There are some chunin and jonin in the crowd throwing kunai and shuriken at him, while civilians throw bottles and rocks at him. While Naruto is running sweaty and out of breath, he makes the mistake of running into an alley, thinking he was at the corner of his street where the apartment is located. Nowhere to run now, you little demon. It's time to get you back for killing our loved ones and comrades, you little shit. Yeah, you stupid fox, it's time to die. Dude, we're not supposed to speak about that, you know the law. So what? It's not like we will be punished. The Anbu who was supposed to watch over him hate him, so they will let us get our hits in and let him bleed out. Oh yeah, that is right. Let's begin the punishment of the fox. Naruto, hearing this, starts to think, why are they calling him the Kyuubi and saying he killed their loved ones? He hasn't killed anybody, he's 6 for Kami's sake. During his thoughts he doesn't see the weapons, rocks and bottles being thrown at him. However, to the shock of everyone throwing things, he starts to dodge them like they are nothing. What people see are his eyes turn silver for a split second before returning back their blue color, thinking it's the Kyuubi gaining his powers back. The jonin in the group throws more at Naruto, who stops dodging, getting the kunai to the shoulder and see more coming towards him. He sees them coming, however he can't dodge them all and gets hit by 3 more kunai, 1 more to the chest and 2 in his stomach. He sees a shinobi throw 1 more kunai but notices him going through hand signs. Ninja art. Kunai shadow clone. The 1 kunai turns into 12 and they are coming at him, however they slow down and he moves out of the way. What everybody in the mob sees shocks them. His eyes turn red with 1 tomo in his right eye with 2 in his left eye. That's when things get worse. Do you see his eyes? Is he an Uchiha? No, it's a trick. The demon must have killed an Uchiha and stole his eyes. Let's kill him. They proceed to punch, kick and stab Naruto with the kunai they found, however they are all stopped by an enormous amount of kai and the sound of chirping birds. They turn around and see the Hokage with Anbu. Captain Dog next to him are Raven and Weasel, both with the Sharingan activated. Anbu hears and barks out, "Hi Hokage-sama," they say together. Kill them. Next thing they know is a complete massacre of civilians and ninja alike. After the massacre is over, Hiruzen looks at Dog and asks him, "Dog, who was supposed to be guarding Naruto tonight?" He asks. "It was Boar and Mouse, Hokage-sama. I want them found and sent to the T&I department to get everything out of them, then kill them." Dog vanishes in a shunshin to find them and take them to the T&I department. As this is going on, Weasel and Raven have finished cleaning up and disposing of the bodies, however they turn to look at Naruto, who is being helped up by a blonde girl that nobody realized was there. He looks at her and smiles while she looks away. Blushing, she says her name is Samui, which he tells her his name, however she has to leave due to her parents looking for her. Once they find her, they see the Hokage and Anbu and bow to them, however they sneer at Naruto, which causes him to flinch and look away. Before Samui leaves, she tells him to meet her in a certain clearing in the forest in 2 days if he wants to play. He smiles and thanks her as she leaves. He looks up at the Anbu and they gasp at his eyes and look at the Hokage for answers, who only said 1 word. Shit. Hichizen mutters grab him and go back to my office. Hokage office. Okay, I know all three of you have questions, so I'll start with Raven and Weasel. However, Naruto, what you are about to see and hear cannot be spoken of, do you understand? He says, getting a serious nod from Naruto. He sighs. Weasel and Raven, remove your masks. They do as told and reveal two black hair boys. However, one has two long marks on his face, with two bangs framing his face, and the rest of his hair tied in a ponytail going down his back. This is the current heir of the Uchiha clan, Itachi Uchiha. However, next to him is another guy with short spiky black hair with a smile on his face that gives warmth compared to the stoic look of Itachi. This man is Shisui Uchiha, best friend of Itachi and cousin of Kagami Uchiha. Now Naruto, I'm sure you have questions and I will answer them for you. Naruto nods and fires off all his questions. Why was I able to dodge all those kunai and shuriken? Why do the people of this village treat me like that? Why did they call me the Kyuubi? And where was my damn Anbu guard? Naruto, the reason you were able to dodge those shuriken and kunai is because you have unlocked a dojutsu belonging to the Uchiha clan from your mother. He says, getting a gasp from all three occupants in the room. Now before you get mad at why you were not raised by the Uchiha clan is simple. 6 years ago on your birthday the Kyuubi attacked the village, nobody knows why though. However, it was up to Minato, who you know was the fourth Hokage, to stop the beast, but it was only by sealing it away, and he needed a newborn baby, and seeing as how you were the only baby born, he had no choice but to use you for the sealing process, thus making you a Jinchuriki, or power of human sacrifice. Now this does not make you the Kyuubi itself, only the container. Now as to why you were not raised by the Uchiha clan is because the Uchiha clan head and elders would have tried to break you mentally and use you as a weapon, and I know that Minato did not want you to be used as a weapon but seen as a hero and live a normal life. However, I messed up by revealing your Jinchuriki status to the council. However, I had no choice in the matter as the Jonin who were with me at the time already told the elders and some of his ninja friends what happened. I did make it a S-ranked law to not speak of it or harm you in any way to protect you, however it seems nobody took me seriously, which is resulting in deaths of civilians and shinobi alike. He explains, as for the Anbu guards that were supposed to watch you apparently hated you for holding the Kyuubi as well, and left their post, and let you be caught and beaten nearly being killed. However, I had dog track them down, sent to the T&I department. Naruto nods at that, still getting over the fact that the Kyuubi is sealed in his gut. However, he realized something. Hey Gigi, you never answered my question about how I was able to dodge all those kunai and shuriken. Before Hiruzen could speak, Shisui spoke up for. He did answer your question. It is due to your Sharingan everything slows down for you, allowing you to dodge and anticipate and predict your opponent's movements. He replies. Then Itachi spoke up. But Shisui says is true, however you are a special case. Most people when they unlock the Sharingan only have one tomo in each eye, however you have one in your right eye, but two tomos in your right eye. He explains. Yes, I understand that. I'm talking about before the Sharingan unlocked. I was just standing there waiting for the kunai and shuriken to hit me, but I felt hot and my body started to dodge on its own like I had no control over my movements. I'm sorry Naruto, but that we cannot explain as we have never heard of that happening before. Hiruzen says, getting nods from Itachi and Shisui. Okay, I doubt it would happen again. So who was my mother? You mentioned she was in Uchiha, but never said her name. He sighs as he knows this will cause a problem. Your mother's name was Kiyomi Uchiha. He says, getting a wide-eyed look from Itachi and Shisui. What? Shisui yells as his Sharingan flared to life. Yes, it is true Shisui, he is your sister's son. The reason I didn't tell you is because despite you both being half-brother and sister, she was moved to the branch family because she refused to marry Fugaku, because she met Naruto's father, and despite him not being a part of the Uchiha clan, which is frowned upon, she didn't want to marry or have kids with anybody but him, so it was either be banished to the branch family and become one of the most hated Uchiha or be in a loveless marriage and pop out babies whenever the clan head wanted. She obviously chose to become hated rather than marry Fugaku. After that she kept seeing Naruto's father, and a few years later she became pregnant, and the day that was supposed to be the happiest moment of her life was turned upside down as she died due to the Kyuubi toxic chakra and Kai, mixed with the stress her body went through during childbirth. She was shielding you from the chakra and Kai, but was killing herself in the process to protect you. I'm sorry Shisui, but I can't allow you to have custody over Naruto, but I can give you a long-term A-rank training mission until he starts the ninja academy in 2 years. He replies with a smirk. Shisui looked back with a smirk of his own, catching on to what he is implying. Of course Hokage-sama, but just to be sure this will not interfere with me and Itachi's current S-ranked mission, will it? He says. Hiruzen tells him it will not. However, Naruto has a couple questions. Hang on Gigi. I have 2 questions. Number 1, what will he be teaching me? He asks with a smile on his face. That will be up to Shisui, however you can sort that out when you guys see me next week to iron out the details. Now what was your second question? He asks, and he was not ready for it. I didn't know you read those orange books too, they must be really popular. He said, pointing to the orange book that fell on the floor from his robe. Hiruzen had just stood there in shock and was curious as well. "Naruto, where did you read this book at?" he asks, hoping Kakashi didn't give one to him. "Oh, those were the only books I was able to find and read at the orphanage. Somehow when I wanted to read all the kid books would be missing. So I found those and taught myself how to read," he replies innocently. "Okay Naruto, just don't read them anymore." After a long and embarrassing talk with Itachi, Shisui and his Jiji, Naruto went home and went to sleep. 2 days later, Naruto is in the forest around the village looking for the girl Samui. He finds her sitting by a river and they play tag, hide and seek, and Naruto has to save her from invisible ninjas, promising to play again. They play some more throughout the week and even bought a yin and yang necklace with each other's name on the back. Samui has the yin symbol, but with Naruto's name on it, while Naruto has the yang symbol with Samui's name on the back. They even went as far as to be each other's first kiss, which had them both blushing up a storm and sit in awkward silence, unaware of the blank masked Anbu that had been watching them. That left and reported to his master, who told Samui's father, and the next day she was told Naruto had been killed by a rogue ninja and they were moving to Kumo. After that day Samui never showed any emotion towards anybody, but still wore the necklace she had with Naruto. A couple days later, Naruto is in the Hokage's office. He was down these past couple of days not seeing Samui. He still wore the necklace, but kept it tucked in so nobody would see it. "Naruto, it's good to see you now. All we need is for Shisui to arrive." No sooner than he said that did Shisui appear via Shunshin. "Now Shisui, since you are here, the details of this mission are simple. You are to train Naruto as much as possible for the next 2 years until he starts the academy, because I fear that the teachers will try to sabotage him and teach him wrong," he says. "Hi Hokage-sama," Shisui replies. "Now Naruto, this scroll is from your mother. It has her Taijutsu style she used because she was no good at the Uchiha style." Shisui laughs at this because he remembers his sister when he was younger, watching her struggle with the Uchiha interpreter fist. "Anyway, she left this for you along with her ninjutsu she created," handing Naruto a scroll. "Thank Jiji, but can I ask a question?" Getting a nod, he continues, "I've seen some shinobi putting stuff in scrolls and making it disappear into the scroll. How did they do that?" he asks out of curiosity. "He is just like Minato. It's a good thing both Minato and Kushina left their notes behind on Fuinjutsu." Hiruzen thought to himself, holding back his tears. That Naruto is called Fuinjutsu. It is an extremely hard skill, and there has only been 4 sealing masters in Konoha history. We only have 1 left, but he is out of the village. However, I do have some books on Fuinjutsu if you would like them to study." He gets an eager nod from the boy and chuckles, handing him a book on Fuinjutsu. "Now you both are dismissed. I expect good results from this training." "Now you are dismissed." They both leave. Now Hiruzen is sitting there looking at his stacks of paperwork and is about to get started when his secretary walks in with a cart with 3 more stacks of paperwork, causing him to cry in tears, yelling at the picture of Minato. "How did you do it?" causing his secretary to walk out with a sweat drop. In the training field, Shisui is sitting with Naruto going over what he will teach him. "Okay Naruto, first things first, I'm going to teach you how to unlock your chakra. After that we will be working on your Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, Shuriken Jutsu and Jinjutsu. I'll leave the Fuinjutsu to you, since I know nothing about it. Finally, we will work on upgrading your Sharingan to its mature state. It becomes mature when you have 3 Tomo in each eye like I do." As he turns on his Sharingan. "Now I want you to sit in a lotus position and try to unlock your chakra. You've only unlocked a small amount due to the Sharingan activating, however it isn't completely unlocked. Try to remember what you felt in your eyes when the Sharingan activated and pull it to the surface, you understand?" He gets a nod from Naruto and lets him begin. After about 3 hours, Shisui was about to call it quits for the day, however he felt something coming from Naruto. Inside Naruto's mind, he was trying to search for his chakra when he wound up in a sewer-looking area with pipes leading in 2 different directions. He feels hated coming from his left, so he goes the opposite way to his chakra, and instead of finding a small amount he sees quite a lot and pulls it, and all of a sudden he was fading from his mindscape. Outside his mind, Shisui is walking to Naruto when all of a sudden chakra starts to flow from him and it hits a certain point before stopping. Naruto opens his eyes to see Shisui staring at him with a smile on his face, but inwardly he is freaking out. Geez, he already has as much chakra as a mid-chunin. I need to teach him chakra control ASAP. He thought before he could speak. Naruto said something first. "Shisui, I thought we were here alone." Getting a confused look from Shisui. "What do you mean we are alone?" he says. Naruto only looks over the shoulder of Shisui and nods his head slightly. Shisui, understanding, asks how many. Naruto holds up one finger. Shisui, getting the hint, Shunshin in front of the person in the trees, which happens to be a blank mask Anbu with Northeast written on it. Before the Anbu can react, Shisui puts his Tanto through his chest, killing him, but takes the mask for evidence. He teleports in front of Naruto and tells him they're going to the Hokage's office. They get there to see Hiruzen reading his orange book while giggling perversely with blood coming out of his nose. Naruto gets an idea. He walks slowly behind him, looks over his shoulder and yells, "Hey Irojiji," causing the professor of shinobi to jump up and land of his desk in a battle stance with a serious look on his face. However, he feels a hit to his pride as he sees Naruto and Shisui laughing on the floor with tears in their eyes. He sighs, gets off his desk, clears his throat and asks what they need, trying to save himself from further embarrassment. "We have a problem, Hokage-sama," Shisui says with a serious voice, causing Hiruzen to go into what Naruto calls Hokage mode. "What problem?" he asks in a serious voice. All Shisui does is pull out the mask of the Anbu he killed. Hiruzen gets pissed and Naruto asks what that mask means, and they tell them about a secret Anbu division that was around during the Third Shinobi War, who were trained as emotionless shinobi who would go out and take the most dangerous missions and would complete them no questions asked. Who would do such a thing to their own shinobi? Taking away is not right and makes them basically mindless drones, or better yet monsters who could possibly turn on their own comrades. Naruto says angrily as his Sharingan turns on, but quickly turns off before anybody can notice. Hiruzen answered this question. His name is Danzo and he is cold and ruthless. He claims all he does is for the good of the village, but in reality it's for himself. He wants to be Hokage and tried to kill me once, but I couldn't put it on him due to him being able to his evidence as if it never happened. This is what he looks like. Hiruzen shows him a picture of Danzo. Naruto, seeing him, gains a wide-eyed look on his face. "I've seen him at the orphanage a lot. He would come in and hand the ladies at the desk a lot of money and he would leave with 5 kids. He would come by once every 3 months and do the same thing. He would look at me with a look of want in his eye. So on top of him being a pedophile, he also is a jealous lunatic war lover." Shisui and Hiruzen both sweat drop at his last sentence of Naruto calling Danzo a pedophile. "Naruto, why didn't you say something sooner to me about this?" Naruto just gives him a look. "Seriously, I'm the most hated person in the village except that purple-haired lady with the trench coat. Who would believe me instead of you?" he says. Hiruzen nods at this. Nobody would believe a child about this, let alone the demon bratty size, and says he will deal with Danzo in due time. "In the meantime, you can use the Hokage's personal training ground around behind the Hokage monument. I'll key in your chakra signatures. Minato put a seal back there that keeps any chakra from getting out in another, so you can't see anything from the outside, only from the inside." Getting a star-eyed look from Naruto saying how cool the yondaime was. Hiruzen chuckles at this and leads them to the Hokage training ground after keying in their chakra signatures, so they can just walk through the shield with no problem. They all leave Shisui to continue his S-ranked mission with Itachi and Naruto to go spend some time with the Ichirokas before going home to get started on his Fuinjutsu. Chapter 4. Meeting the Fox. Biju summon talking. Biju summoning thinking. Normal talking. Normal thinking. I do not own Naruto that belongs to Kishimoto. It's been 6 months since Naruto has been training with Shisui and has been working on his chakra control and Fuinjutsu so far. Naruto knows leaf balancing. He can do that with multiple leaves, senbon balancing, tree walking and water walking. Now he is trying to combine the leaf and tree walking exercise. He does this because he and Shisui estimated by the time he graduated he could have as much chakra as an elite Jonin or Anbu, so due to his reserves constantly growing. Bang, Naruto mumbles under his breath as the leaves fall off his body again while walking up the tree. Shisui, seeing this, just chuckles slightly. He's upset that he can't get the leaves to stick to his body while tree walking. Well, most chunin wouldn't even try this. He will be a splendid ninja. He thought. He then clapped his hands, getting Naruto's attention. "Okay Naruto, it's been 6 months and you have low chunin control over your chakra, which is good since you have mid chunin reserves. However, due to the seal, your reserves will start growing faster the harder you train. Now I want to know how far along you've come in your Fuinjutsu," he asks. "Oh, that it's really easy. I'm already at level 3, so I can make storage scrolls, explosive tags, security tags, and my personal favorite, a tag that shoots out paint and feathers at anybody who activates it," he proudly says, getting a sweat drop from Shisui. Seriously, the hardest area to study in ninja training, and he makes a pranking seal as if it was nothing. "I know he would be good, but not this good so fast, sheesh." "Okay, I'm not going to ask about that last one." Getting a sheepish grin from Naruto. "Now we will begin working on your taijutsu with and without the Sharingan, so you can get used to fighting with and without it. You never want to become too reliant on your eyes. Now let's begin," he says with an evil grin, scaring Naruto, who barely dodged the punch. "You have good reflexes, that's good. Now get out the taijutsu scroll your mother left behind for you. I can tell by the way your body moves the Uchiha style would not fit you. It's all about anticipation and you don't need to be very fast to use it since it relies on the Sharingan," he explains, getting a nod in return from Naruto, who gets out the scroll of the taijutsu style she uses. Aim style was written on the scroll. It was about endurance and strength. However, Naruto would have to make some minor adjustments to adapt to it, so he would be able to use it along with his speed without losing the strength, but it was perfect for him since he could use it with and without the Sharingan. 3 months later. The past 3 months could be described as hell or fun, depending on who you are. For Naruto it was torture, but if asked Shisui, life couldn't have been better. He introduced Naruto into a training regime that would leave him battered and bruised at the end of the day. In the last 3 months his taijutsu reached academy level, which is ahead of most kids going to the ninja academy, except for some clan heirs. Speaking of clan heirs, he met some of them. Shikamaru and Choji, they hit it off. Naruto and Shikamaru would play shogi sometimes, or sometimes just lay down and watch the clouds, and Naruto found out how relaxing it can be and made it a habit to watch the clouds after a training session if it ended early. Choji on the other hand was more interested in eating all the time, having challenged Naruto to multiple ramen eating contests that would put grown men to shame. Naruto leads the series 11-10. Naruto met some more as well, and he met Hinata Hyuga, who was shy and had confidence issues. Kiba Inuzuka, who was brash and kind of rubbed Naruto the wrong way, but he was a good guy. He met Shino, who he thought was weird at first, but learned that his clan is really antisocial and only speak when needed. He also found out about the insects and how the Aburam clan used them. To Naruto, fascinated by this. He met Ino Yamanaka, who Naruto wasn't really a fan of. She was always trying to boss somebody around and yelling about something. It was annoying, but her blonde hair reminded him of his first and only best friend Samui, who he hasn't seen in a long time and always gets sad thinking about her. Then he met Sakura Haruno, a civilian from a merchant family. He recognizes her pink hair from an older lady who would always lead the mobs when they would chase him and beat him before he started training and got his new apartment. Last but not least, he sort of met Sasuke Uchiha, who he later found out from Shisui was Itachi's younger brother. He stumbled upon Sasuke watching him practice a jutsu he could never get right and would see his father walk away when he couldn't perfect it. He asked Shisui about this and explained to him that it is the Uchiha rite of passage. After you master the jutsu, you can wear the Uchiha crest on your clothes. Naruto then understood why his father was acting like that. But back to the training. Speed up, Naruto, focus. Shisui says as he sends punches and kicks at Naruto. He is only moving at a high genin speed, while sparring with Naruto. He didn't let Naruto use his Sharingan this time around, wanting him to work on his natural reflexes. While fighting, Naruto was doing pretty well, until Shisui decided to speed up to mid-chunin, and that's when things got bad for Naruto. Shisui was relentless in his assault against Naruto, breaking through his defenses, but as this was going on, he saw Naruto's body start to give off heat and pressure like Kai, but it was calm and relaxing. Next thing Shisui knew, Naruto was dodging his attacks like it was nothing, and Shisui's Sharingan couldn't predict his dodge pattern anymore. When he looked at Naruto, he seen his eyes were silver, but he felt very little chakra being used. After one last strike to the face, all Naruto did was tilt his head to the side, and the unexpected Shisui was hit in the stomach by Naruto, causing him to cough up spit. When he regained his composure, he saw Naruto passed out on the ground. His breathing was heavy, but he was alive. He picked Naruto up and Shunshined to the Hokage's office. Shisui arrived in the Hokage's office, seeing him finishing up some paperwork. However, when he saw Naruto, he started to panic, but Shisui just held his hands up and said he was fine. Shisui report. What happened? He asked, serious. I honestly have no clue. I mean, I know what happened, but I can't really explain it. He says with a sigh. He then explains what happened during training with Naruto. The Hokage just sits there thinking about this. Shisui, I want you to take it easy on Naruto for now, only train him using high gen and low chunin speed and strength. Clearly whatever happens to him isn't normal and causes stress to his body, as we can see. However, how is his training going? He gets a smile in return. Well, for the first 6 months I trained him on chakra control, since he has mid-chunin reserves already. Getting a wide-eyed look from the Hokage, he continues. I've taught him leaf balancing, senbon balancing, tree walking and water walking. Currently he is trying to combine tree walking with leaf balancing. It's not going good for him, but he will get it. His Fuinjutsu really impressed me since he does it on his own. He's already at level 3 and makes his own storage scrolls, explosive tags, security tags, and he made a pranking seal that explodes in paint and feathers. He said with a laugh, causing Hiruzen to laugh as well. His taijutsu has come along great the past 3 months. We started working on it. His mom was right to leave him that taijutsu style. He is a natural at it. I would say he is about academy level, borderline low genin right now. I would say he would be at high genin by the time we are done training. He says with a proud smile. Good, and I assume you haven't taught him any ninjutsu yet because you are working on conditioning his body and chakra control right now. He gets a nod in return. Good, now on to other matters. Any progression on the S-ranked mission? All I know so far, as well as Itachi, is they just walk around ready to snap at anything. That's why I keep Naruto away from them, because I know they would take their anger out on him. He says with a sigh. Alright, continue to train Naruto, you have only just over a year left. Make your sister proud, Shisui. Dismissed. Shisui picks up Naruto and takes him home before leaving himself. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto wakes in the same sewer as last time, but this time he follows the pipes with red chakra filled with hate and malice. He walks until he sees a giant cage with a piece of paper with word seal on it and notices the large fox with 9 tails behind it. He walks close to the cage but has to jump back to avoid a claw that lashed out at him. However, what causes him to fall on his face is the fox is asleep with drool coming out of its mouth. He takes a deep breath and yells, "Oh, I fox, wake up, you're drooling." This causes the fox to jump up looking around, and when he finally fully wakes up, he notices Naruto standing there. "Huh, what? Oh, it's you, what's up?" It says, causing Naruto to sweat drop. "What? No evil monologue about how you're the all-powerful Kyuubi no Kitsune. No threats to rip my guts out or eat me. Threaten to break out?" He asks. "No, it's too much work and a waste of words, besides I knew you wouldn't pay attention to it anyway. So why are you here?" "I was training and passed out due to exhaustion and woke up here. So I have some questions for you if I may." He gets a nod from the fox. "Okay, why did you attack the Leaf Village? Why is my mind a sower? Are there more like you, and what's your name? You have to have one, right?" The Kyuubi is there in shock because nobody has ever bothered to learn its name. However, it responds, "I didn't attack the Leaf Village on my own will. I was ripped out of my previous container Kushina Uzumaki by a man who claimed to be Madara Uchiha. However, I knew he wasn't him because I've been under Madara Jinjutsu before when he used to attack the first Hokage before I was sealed into my first host Mito Uzumaki, making her the second Jinchuriki ever only after my creator. After Mito sealed me, the first Hokage decided to capture my brothers and sisters, the other 8-tailed beasts. We range from 1 tail being the weakest to me, the 9 tails the strongest of them all. After Hashirama captured them, he gave them away like useless items to the other villages to create peace, but all he did was gave them ideas to create Jinchuriki and turn them into weapons for war. There have been 3 major shinobi wars already, and I've seen them all. Now the reason for your mindscape looking like this is because of your childhood before you met your uncle and got your own place to live. However, if you notice it isn't as bad as it should be, that's because of the fond memories you have of the walks with the old monkey you call your Jiji, the moments you spend with the Ichirokas, the time you played with the bun-haired girl, and then my personal favorite, the little blonde girl you met before she disappeared. That is why your mind looks like this. However, it is up to you to change it. Now for your last question. Yes, I do have a name, however I will not be telling you because you are not worthy to know it yet. Once you get strong enough I will tell you my name, however I have not deemed you ready yet." It says, getting a nod of understanding from Naruto. "You know, you're a lot different from the typical Uchiha. They are usually walking around like the sun shines out of their ass and walk around like they have sticks shoved up their ass. Yeah, I know, the only person I know from the Uchiha clan that doesn't act like that is Shisui, other than that they all act like that. Even Itachi, who he says is a good person, walks around like that. However, I've been noticing some tension coming from the Uchiha clan lately. I can sense the negative emotions coming from them. Why is that?" "Ah, so you've noticed. That would be my doing. I wanted to give you something like an edge, so I gave you my ability to sense negative emotions on top of the regular sensor abilities you had. I've sort of enhanced them so your sensory abilities can be as good as Mito Uzumaki if you train them. Now I believe it is time for you to wake up soon, but I'll give you one more question. Is there any way to let you out? I mean, I know I can remove the seal, but that would kill me. Is there any other way, because from what you told me you don't deserve to be sealed away. The Yondaime used the Reaper Death Seal to seal me away. He is such an idiot. He could have just used the Uzumaki-tailed beast sealing ritual and he would still be alive, but I guess he never bothered to learn it. Shame, my old was too weak and only had enough chakra to summon those chains of hers. Now the only way I know to counter is to summon Kami. However, you need to be a level 10 seal master by Konoha standards and it requires you to have Jonin to cage level chakra reserves. However, you only have to worry about the sealing level part because of my chakra. I can give you some to make up for the chakra you need, so you're at a level 4 already after 9 months. Yes, I know you lied to your uncle about that, but I understand why now. If you keep studying at the pace you are, you may reach level 10 by your 2nd year in that ninja academy. Now go, it is time for you to wake up and start training." Naruto nods and fades from his mindscape. "Good kid, I can tell he will do great things in life." Naruto woke up and looked at his clock. It was almost 7 in the morning. The fox was right. He needed to meet Shisui at the Hokage office for breakfast before training. He gets washed up and dressed and grabs his storage seal with his training equipment and leaves for the Hokage office. Naruto reaches the office and the secretary named Mina smiles at him and lets him in. He likes Mina. She was always nice to him and gave him candy sometimes. Naruto walks into the office and sees the Hokage Itachi, Shisui and the 3 elders, the pedophile Danzo as he likes to call him, the saggy tits old hag Kaharu, and the cool old man Homura. He greets them. Good morning Hokage Jiji, Itachi, Shisui, pedophile Danzo, saggy tits and cool old man." Causing multiple reactions, Homura, Shisui and Hiruzen has to bite their lip to not laugh, but you can hear a slight snicker coming from them. Itachi had his normal Uchiha stoic look, but if you look close his mouth twitched upward a little bit. The Haru is seething and tries to attack him, but an Anbu in a dog mask grabbed her. However, the most shocking was Danzo, who was supposed to be a master at hiding his emotions and was visibly seething at being called a pedophile. Naruto, you should show more respect to Danzo and Kaharu, they are elders of the village and should be treated as such. Hiruzen said in a false scolding tone. Everybody but Homura and Shisui believed, but to their shock Naruto wasn't even paying attention, he was reading the Hokage's orange book. When he looked up he saw everybody staring at him, so what he did next nobody expected. Did you say something? He says innocently. The Hokage drops his head on his desk. Shisui openly starts laughing. Itachi as well. Itachi. The three elders' eye twitch in annoyance at having another Kakashi possibly, and a certain dog-masked Anbu sneeze causing everyone to look at him. Okay, you all are dismissed, we can finish this meeting at a later date. Everyone leaves to go their separate ways, however Shisui comes back to have breakfast and start training. Naruto's sensor abilities go off when somebody else enters the room and is masking their presence like the Anbu, but he can still sense them. Okage-sama, how many guards do you have in your room? He asks quietly, shocking Hiruzen because he only calls him this when it's a serious matter. I have 3. Why, he asks. Instead of answering, Naruto grabs a piece of paper and writes on it, bookshelf closest to your desk on the left. Another person is there. Hiruzen reads this and signals the cheetah mask Anbu to get the intruder, and it's a blank mask Anbu with northeast on it. He knocks him out and Hiruzen orders for him to go to the tea, but Naruto speaks up. It's a waste of time to send him there. Jiji, look at his tongue, he has a seal on it which I'm guessing prevents him from talking. Making Hiruzen sigh and just had him killed. Naruto, how did you know he was there? Shisui asks. Hiruzen nods. Did you guys forget I'm a censor? He asks with a deadpan voice, and they smack their head with their hands. Speaking of censors, I talked to the Nine Tails, and he gave me his negative emotion sensing abilities, as well as the reason for attacking the village. All Hiruzen says is explain now in his Hokage voice. So Naruto explains everything except the releasing him part. To say everybody was shocked was an understatement. Now I do agree with him about Hashirama being a fool, and no, before you ask, this isn't the typical Uchiha and Senju hatred, this is just facts from me knowing the story. He was a fool and a monster more than the tailed beasts are made out to be. He knew Madara was controlling the Kyuubi, but still even after his control was released, he held him down with his Mokuton abilities, so Mito can seal it in herself. Then she had the nerve to tell it to behave. Same goes for Kushina, but I can't really blame her, since she was told Mito's feelings on the Kyuubi. They say treat a Jinchuriki with love, yet they treat the best like crap. Hashirama was a monster for hunting them down while they haven't done anything and just gave them away. He knew what the villages would use them for, but he let his naiveness take over and did it anyway. The blame for these wars and hatred between the villages can be blamed on him as well. After that they are in silence until Shisui spoke up again and said they had to get training, leaving Hiruzen to his thoughts. Training field. Okay Naruto, we have a year and 3 months left before you begin the academy, so we are going to start training you at low mid chunin level. He pulls out a set of weights that weigh about 15 pounds each. Put these on, these will help with your body conditioning as well as your speed. I got these from a Konoha Taijutsu specialist. I hope you never have to meet him yet. Anyway, we are going to continue to work on your Taijutsu and chakra control, however we will be working on maturing your Sharingan. You still have 1 Tamo in your right eye and 2 in your left, but that is because I trained you to not rely on them. Now we will work on them until they mature. I can feel you are almost at 2 Tamo in each eye, so you might get that today after the training we go through. We will also be working on your ninjutsu, and if your Sharingan matures before time is up, I can teach you some Sharingan Jinjutsu. He explains, getting a nod from Naruto, and pulls out a slip of paper. This is chakra paper to tell you your natural element for ninjutsu. If it cuts, it's wind, if it burns, it's fire, if it gets soggy, then it's water, if it crumbles, it's earth, and if it crinkles, it's lightning. Now channel some chakra through the paper so we can get started. Naruto does, and both are shocked. The paper cuts into 4 pieces, however one is shredded to tiny pieces, another crinkles so much that it is a small ball, but you can see currents flowing if of it. The next piece just turns into water like it came out of the air, and the last one burned, but the color of the fire was blue instead of the normal color. They stand there in shock at what happens. They look at each other and can only say one thing. Holy shit. Chapter 5. Rite of Passage and the Village Prank. Did you summoning talking? Did you summoning thinking? Normal talking, normal thinking. I do not own Naruto that belongs to Kishimoto. After getting over the shock of the results, Shisui gains a psychotic look on his face. Now Naruto, the real training begins. First things first, I will be teaching you the substitution jutsu, the Henjin clone jutsu. However, we may have to use a different clone because of how dense your chakra is due to the Kyuubi chakra leaking into your system, so instead of a regular clone, you will use the shadow clones. He says, but I want you to practice hand signs before anything. I'll show you them. After he shows Naruto the hand signs, he tells him to practice them for 3 hours until he can do them without looking at his hands. He was expecting Naruto to take the full 3 hours to do them, however he had them down in an hour and used the remaining 2 hours to focus on his speed. He got his hand sign speed to a low genin level, which was good for him at his age. Okay Naruto, it's time to practice the jutsus I told you about now. First the substitution jutsu. After 2 hours of practice Naruto got the Henjin substitution jutsu down. However, due to his dense chakra, his henge was solid and even came up with ideas for this jutsu with an evil gleam in his eyes which actually scared Shisui, but Naruto promised not to use it on him. Now for the shadow clone jutsu. The difference between these clones and the regular clones are these ones are solid and can move. However, it takes just one punch to defeat them. The regular clones are basically a form of genjutsu, you can just wave your hand through them and it will disappear. Now let's get started on the shadow clone jutsu. He demonstrated the hand signs to Naruto and told him to practice. He was in for a shock when it took Naruto only 30 minutes to get the jutsu down. Naruto, it's been 5 hours, so go have lunch and meet me back here at 2 o'clock. Shisui says. Naruto hurried over to his favorite ramen stand where he sees Choji and Shikamaru eating. Toji, Shikamaru, how's it going guys? It's going good Naruto, I can eat food and take a nap here without my mom yelling and nagging me like does at home. Shikamaru replies while muttering troublesome mothers, getting a laugh from Naruto. Toji, what about you, anything new? Naruto asks. No, not really, I've just been hanging out with Shikamaru. Choji said. You guys have been hiding from me, no haven't you? He asks. Choji replies, no, we invited her, but she and her mother are hanging out with Sakura and her mother today. I see, well I'm hungry. Hey old man Tucci, can I get 5 bowls of miso ramen with extra toppings? He asks. Sure thing Naruto, coming right up, Tucci replies as AM finishes taking his order. However, Tucci goes to make the food as AM is running the register today, so she stays back but goes around the counter to give little brother figure a big hug. So Naruto, how have you been? We haven't really been seeing you around as much as usual. Nothing much AM, I've just been hanging out looking at the clouds and reading some books. He replies only to get hit in the head with a ladle, wondering where it came from. He looks at AM who has a sickly sweet smile on her face that promises pain. But for some reason he can see the death god behind her. Naruto, you haven't been reading those orange books again, have you? She asks, leaning into his face. He shakes his head frantically looking for Choji and Shikamaru, who seem to have disappeared from the ramen shop. No, I'm not, I swear it's a book on the previous Hokages and some minor thing I should learn at the academy, I swear. He replies, scared out of his mind right now. AM stares at him for some more time. Be backing off. Okay. She says like nothing happened. Gucci comes out the back with his ramen, seeing a scared Naruto and a smiling AM humming at the cash register counting money. He just shakes his head and doesn't ask any questions, just hands Naruto his ramen. However, AM notices something. Naruto, where is your necklace you always have on? I took it off so I don't lose it during training. It's the only thing I have to remind me of Samui-chan, so I just take it off and place it in a storage scroll for safekeeping. He says while eating. They chat some more until Naruto realizes he only has 15 minutes to get to the training ground. He pays and hugs AM goodbye before leaving to head back. On his way he realizes he is being followed, so he takes to the alleys and loses his pursuer but keeps his sensor abilities sharp and can sense anything within 200 feet of him that is following him. He makes it to the training ground, sees Shisui standing there waiting for him. But now that you're back we have 6 hours left, so I want 30 laps around the training ground, but do not take your weights off. After that we will be sparing to jutsu only. I will be moving at mid-chunin speed to try and advance your Sharingan. Now get moving. Naruto says nothing but takes off running, and 1 hour later he is done with his laps and sees Shisui running towards him at mid-chunin speed, so he activated his Sharingan and prepares for the fight. He just manages to block the punch Shisui throws at him and throws a kick towards Shisui, who blocks as well. They break apart and settle into their fighting stance, Shisui in his interpreter stance and Naruto in his Kame stance. What follows next is just an all-out Taijutsu fight that would make a certain green jumpsuit wearing Jonin would want to take Naruto on as a student. Despite Naruto not being used to moving at chunin speeds, his Sharingan makes it easier for him to follow. Every time Shisui would throw a punch or kick, he would block or dodge while striking at Shisui's opening, but it would be blocked by Shisui. Unknown to Naruto, Shisui is purposely leaving openings to gauge if Naruto would see them, and to his surprise, he does see the openings and takes them, but what has him impressed is while Naruto strikes at his openings, he is making sure to keep his guard up. However, as the fight progresses Naruto does gain his second Tomo in his right eye, however he gets so into the fight that he is only focused on him. The Shisui sparing. Unknown to him, his Sharingan turns silver while keeping the Tomo in his eyes, and he begins dodging Shisui's punches and kicked. Even better, Shisui sees this and knows he has to end it now before Naruto's body starts to strain itself too hard. So he shunshuns behind him and gives him a chop to the neck, knocking him out. He picks him up and sits him under a tree to get some rest. He notices they still have about 2 hours left, so he waits to see if Naruto will wake up in time so he can teach him a jutsu that every Uchiha must know. To his surprise, Naruto wakes up only an hour late and realizes his bruises are gone. Must be the fox's healing ability, he thought. Naruto, come over here, it's time to teach you a new jutsu that you must know as an Uchiha. He gets a nod from Naruto, and they head over to a giant pond located deeper into the training ground. So Shisui, what jutsu are you teaching me? He asks. Turn on your Sharingan and watch, says Naruto, does as told as Shisui goes through the hand signs and says, fire style. Fireball jutsu. He breaths out a huge fireball, and Naruto can feel the heat coming from it. I can make it bigger, however that size I did is the size you need to be able to pass the test and become considered a true Uchiha. Now you have 45 minutes to practice this jutsu before I end training, and as you know I can't help you with this, you must do it on your own. He says, getting a nod in response. Naruto walks to the edge of the pond and begins to practice. He slowly goes through the hand signs and calls out, fire style. Fireball jutsu. What comes out is what you would call pathetic, if you can say, a small stream that makes a barely recognizable fireball, but unlike Shisui's, Naruto's flames were blue due to his unusual fire affinity. Naruto was expecting to see Shisui laughing, however he had a straight face on, and Naruto could see a small side of disappointment in his eyes. Naruto sees that he has gained a look of determination and does the jutsu again. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. This time the jutsu was not the right size, however it was close to half the size of Shisui's. Naruto, seeing this, gains a proud look on his face as he finds out the problem: he isn't using the right amount of chakra and isn't letting it build up properly. He practices a few more times before Shisui calls for an end of training. Naruto was able to get his fireball to half the size of Shisui's fireball and knows he needs maybe 2 more days of training this jutsu to get it down. Alright Naruto, that's it for the day, I have something to do tomorrow, so you have the day off, you can do whatever you want. He says, but pauses when he sees the evil gleam in Naruto's eye and knew what it meant: somebody was getting pranked, which meant a headache for him and the Hokage. Despite Naruto being extremely mature for a 6-year-old, he still has his immature moments which Shisui finds funny. I know that look, and please keep it to a minimum for me, that's all I ask. He says. All he gets is Naruto walking away giggling evilly, causing Shisui to inwardly cry at the problem Naruto is about to cause. Meanwhile, a certain old man who is relaxing reading his favorite orange book gets a shiver down his spine and narrows his eyes. Something tells me I'm gonna regret waking up tomorrow. He thought. Oh, how right he was. Next morning could be described as total chaos. All shops were covered in bright orange paint, feathers, and somehow filled with cats. And most, not all, of the Anbu has their gear turned pink with rainbows on it. The only shops that were not Iraq were the ones in the red light district and the Ichiraku ramen shop. So when Hiruzen woke up this morning, imagine how he felt when he opened the door to his office and seen stacks and stacks of paperwork as tall as him. If that wasn't enough, his secretary came in and told him the council has called an emergency meeting. All he could do is break down and cry. Why did Kami have to put him through this? It wasn't fair. His secretary can only shake her head at this in pity. Sometimes she feels sorry for him, but then realized all that paperwork had to go through her first, so it was all in her office before he came in. Council chambers. Hiruzen walks in with a depressing storm cloud over his head, causing some of the shinobi council to snicker at this, and while some felt pity for him. With a sigh, he very reluctantly starts the meeting. Okay, who wants to go first? He asks, already knowing why the meeting was called. A fat merchant stands up and speaks. Okage-sama, this is an outrage. Somebody has broken into my bakery, put laxatives in my baking ingredients and covered the shop in paint. Another stands up. Every single shop in the village minus the red light district and that ramen shop were hit. What are you gonna do about this? Who could have pulled something off like this overnight? Suddenly everybody cringed when a certain pink-haired merchant spoke up. I bet it was that damn child. You should have let us kill him when we had the chance. I demand he pays for his actions. This is unacceptable. How am I supposed to run my business with paint, feather, and cats everywhere in my store? She screeched, causing the head of the Inuzuka clan ears to bleed. Hiruzen just sighs and motions for his Anbu. Yes, Okage-sama, said an eagle-masked Anbu. Please bring me Naruto Uzumaki, he says, and the Anbu nods and leaves. 20 minutes later he returns. I am sorry, Lord Hokage, but I can't seem to find him, the Anbu says. Hiruzen can only sigh and dismiss the Anbu. But what gets everybody is that when the Anbu turns to leave, he has a kick me sign on his back. I'll go get him, I might know where he is. Hokage training ground. Here we find young Naruto meditating in a lotus position, thinking about how his latest prank went and how he can finish the fireball jutsu. When he feels his Jiji chakra signature enter the barrier, so he stands up and greets him. Hey Jiji, what are you doing here? I thought you were in the office right now. Hiruzen I can only twitch at this. No Naruto, I am not. I'm in the middle of a meeting with the council and I need you to come with me. He doesn't give Naruto time to respond and just grabs him as shunshuns to the chambers. Council chambers. He and Naruto arrive and then shouting starts, however Hiruzen shuts them up with Kai so he can speak. Now Naruto, the civilian council is charging you with destroying property and breaching security throughout the entire village last night, as well as attacking an Anbu officer. How do you plead? Not guilty, Naruto replies with a straight face. Liar, we know it was you who did this. Just because you have no parents and nobody to love you doesn't mean you can destroy our stuff, you little shit. I want him dead. The same pink-haired lady screeches again, causing everyone but Naruto to cringe, who wasn't even paying attention. He was too busy thinking about what kind of ramen he would eat later. Ibuki, please stop yelling. You've already caused the Inuzuka clan head ears to bleed any louder, and you may kill her due to scrambling her brain, and that can get you executed. Now, as for Naruto's charges, the death penalty isn't even needed. If anything, he would have to pay a fine for the damages and do community service, since he is a minor. He explains. Now Naruto, how do you respond to this? He gets no reply. He looks at Naruto, who is just staring off into space, and snaps his fingers in his face, getting his attention. Did you say something? Causing everyone to sweat drop and wonder if he met Kakashi before, while a grey gravity-defying haired shinobi sneezed. I ask, how do you respond to what Mibuki said? Naruto, not hearing what she said, simply says. Do you have any evidence that it was me? Well, does anybody have any evidence or proof that it was him? Hiruzen asks. Well, no, but it was him. We know it was, said one merchant that refused Naruto's service when he entered his shop. Wait, so you mean to tell me that the entire village was pranked overnight? He gets a nod from Hiruzen. So you all blame me, a 6-year-old, for doing all this? I mean, seriously, I'm 6, how could I possibly do all this overnight? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know you all don't like me, but man, this is low even for you guys. He says with a fake hurt expression, but nobody can tell it was fake, not even the shinobi and elders could tell. Well, since nobody has any evidence that Naruto did it, the case is dismissed. Hiruzen says, secretly wondering how Naruto did it. What, Hiruzen, this is an outrage. You know he did it. This boy is nothing but trouble. Yelled Kaharu. Hey saggy tits, I didn't know you would be here. How are you doing? What's up, one-eyed pedophile and cool old man? He says, getting 2 out of the 3 elders to bristle in anger. Well, the Inuzuka clan head lost it and started howling with laughter. That is too damn funny. She says while banging the table, getting snickers from the Amanaka, Nara and Akimichi clan heads. Well, the Hyuga and Uchiha clan heads have their normal blank faces on. Can I go now, old man? I'm hungry. Naruto said. He gets a nod from the Hokage and walks out, but if you looked you could see that he had a smug look on his face, knowing he got away with it. Later we find Naruto at the Hokage's training ground practicing his fireball jutsu. It's been 2 hours since his meeting with the council. After a quick stop at Ichiraku's, he only stayed for 30 minutes and ate 13 bowls. He came to train his taijutsu and his ninjutsu. He wanted to perfect the fireball and felt he was close. So here he is after an hour and 15 minutes of trying. Naruto feels like this time he has it. He takes a deep breath and exhales and starts going through the hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Out comes a huge blue fireball 3 times the size of the one Shisui showed him. He looked at it and was proud that he mastered it faster than he thought. He was cut off by the sound of hands clapping. He turns around and sees Shisui with a proud smile on his face. Good job on the fireball, Naruto. You are officially worthy of wearing the Uchiha symbol now. So other than that, I know I said you had the day off, however now I'll start working on maturing your Sharingan. He says. Shisui, you mentioned maturing the Sharingan, but is there a level above the 3 Tomo Sharingan? Naruto asks, causing Shisui to freeze. Should I tell him about the Manjikyu? I don't want him to try and gain just for the power and drive him crazy. He looks at Naruto and sees him playing with some foxes that usually hang around the training ground. He smiles at how pure-hearted Naruto is despite everything he has been through. He decides to tell him about the Manjikyu Sharingan. Naruto, come here. Naruto walks over with a pack of foxes he was playing with and sits down while they lay down next to him while the smallest climbs in his lap. Okay, you ask if there is a level above the 3 Tomo Sharingan, and the answer is yes, there is. He activates his Sharingan, but what shocks Naruto next is his 3 Tomo spin and morph into a 4-sided shuriken pattern in both eyes. This is called the Manjikyu Sharingan, the 4th stage of the Sharingan. To unlock these eyes you must see your best friend or somebody extremely close to you die. The rush of emotions triggering something in the brain causes a surge of chakra to go into your eyes, thus causing the Manjikyu to activate. But these eyes come with a price. The more you use them, the light in your eyes deteriorates, causing the person to go crazy and eventually they go blind. However, there is a way to avoid blindness. You must replace your eyes with a family member of yours to retain eternal light. However, this information is not known by anyone but me, and I am trusting you to keep this information to yourself. Not even the Hokage knows this. Can you keep this a secret for me? He deactivated his Sharingan and got a yes in return from Naruto. Great, we have a little over a year left, and I want you to be at least high genin by the time the academy starts. Right now you are above academy level, but not quite genin level. Now let's begin. He says as he activates his 3 Tomo Sharingan and rushes at Naruto, who activates his 2 Tomo Sharingan and rushes at Shisui. Chapter 6. More training and meeting Anko. Did you summon talking? Did you summon thinking? Normal talking, normal thinking. I do not own Naruto that belongs to Kishimoto. The sound of metal clanging against each other can be heard throughout the Hokage's secret training ground. If you look close you can see Shisui and Naruto fighting with Taijutsu, as well as using kunai and shuriken. It's been 3 months since Naruto mastered the fireball jutsu and so far has only done the nature manipulation for fire and water, however he doesn't know any water ninjutsu yet. For fire Shisui taught Naruto the fireball jutsu, fire dragon jutsu and phoenix flower jutsu. Originally Shisui wanted Naruto to be a mid to high genin when he reached the academy, but at the rate Naruto was growing faster than he thought at this rate, Naruto would be high chunin by the time the academy starts his taijutsu due to the constant sparing is at low mid chunin level with his Sharingan and high genin to low chunin without it. Speaking of his Sharingan, the 7-year-old finally matured his Sharingan when 3 rogue chunin tried attacking him while he was out in the forest during a morning run before meeting Shisui. He was on his last lap when he sensed them. They came at him from different directions. He had no choice to use his Sharingan. He was doing good, however, he just ran 49 laps so he was tired. Just as he was about to pass out he was saved by Shisui who knocked them out before turning them in. However, the biggest leap for Naruto was his Fuinjutsu. He went from level 4 up to level 7, he could now create barriers, blood seals and chakra suppression seals. He hasn't talked to the Kyuubi, however he understood why the fox didn't want to talk. It was waiting for Naruto to become worthy enough to know his name. However, what Naruto didn't know, he was closer than he thought. His Genjutsu would never work without his Sharingan due to how dense the Kyuubi chakra made it. However, he could detect and break up to high B rank Genjutsu and high A rank with his Sharingan. He was broken out of his thoughts when Shisui landed a punch to his gut, knocking the wind out of him. They'd spar Naruto. Now we have 1 year left and I will teach you some Sharingan Genjutsu and wind manipulation. I don't have any lightning or water jutsus in my arsenal, however I'm sure your month we left you some water ninjutsu in that scroll of hers. Now another thing we will work on is your hand speed and work on cutting down the amount of hand signs you would need for a jutsu. Now do you have any questions? Shisui says, I do have a question, but it isn't about the training. He says, okay, ask away. What's going on with the Uchiha clan? Why do they all seem so tense and on edge? I've noticed they've isolated themselves even further from the village by not allowing any non-Uchiha clan members in. And the other night I heard 2 of them talking about some kind of plan that would take place next year. So what's going on? And don't bother lying to me, I'll be able to tell. Shisui was inwardly cursing his luck for his nephew being so observant. With a sigh, he decided to tell Naruto the truth. After the Kyuubi attack, the Uchiha clan was blamed for the attack after some people, ninja and civilians, claimed to see a Sharingan pattern its eyes during the attack, and we weren't on the front lines the entire fight. We were told they needed us to help secure civilians after an injured to safety and keep watch. Shortly after the attack, 2 of the elders, I'm sure you can guess who, had the Uchiha clan relocated to the outskirts of the village, claiming it would be for better security of the village. However, we were the only clan moved around. All this happened before Hiruzen officially retook the Hokage position, so he couldn't do anything about it since it happens in private while Minato was alive, so since it during his reign he would be the only one to cancel that order. However, he is dead now. Years later the village continued to ostracize the Uchiha clan and they have gotten tired of it, so me and Itachi have been undercover trying out the plot. However, with what you just told me, I can only think of one thing they would result in doing, and that is a coup d'etat, but that would just cause a civil war and possibly start the 4th Shinobi War, and the world cannot handle another war. Shisui explained. Naruto took all of this in shock that the Uchiha would really go as far as starting a civil war to get the respect they want and to clear their name. I think you should tell Gigi what we just found out, but leave me out of it. I won't tell anybody about this because I know there are spies in the village from the one-eyed pedophile and his emotionless booty tag Anbu. He probably plays with it while they sleep. He says, getting a sweat drop from Shisui. Seriously, he's only 7 and he already knows about that kind of stuff. He thought, however, Naruto had a point. He did need to tell the Hokage about this. Alright Naruto, you're dismissed for the day. We start the rest of your training tomorrow. He says as he shunshuns to the Hokage's office, leaving Naruto by himself. He seriously needs to teach me that, he said to himself. He said as he walked off, if he would have turned around, he would have seen the group of foxes that usually play with him disappear in a cloud of smoke, as well as a lizard-looking creature with wings disappearing a cloud of smoke as well. Hokage's office. Shisui arrived in the Hokage's office, but to his shock and luck, both Hiruzen and Itachi were in there. But you're both here. I think I made a major breakthrough in our mission, Itachi. As soon as he said that, the Hokage put his hand up and dismissed his Anbu. He let out a chakra pulse, looking for any intruders from route, and found none. Then he put up a privacy seal in his office and let Shisui speak. Okay, the only thing that I've been able to come up with is that the Uchiha clan are planning a coup d'etat. He said, getting a shocked look from both Hiruzen and Itachi. How did you come up with that idea, Shisui? It doesn't make sense. The Uchiha clan isn't that big and are outnumbered in the shinobi side by a ratio of 25 to 1. How would they possibly plan a coup with such low numbers when luck clearly isn't on their side? Itachi says, however Shisui instantly replies. Think about it, Itachi, the Uchiha clan have grown tired of how the village and people are treating them. What better way for a power hungry that thinks with their fighting instead of their actual brain? A coup d'etat is the perfect plan to overthrow a village that treats them like shit. You are the most level-headed Uchiha and a Sharingan prodigy, second to none other than Madara Uchiha himself, yet your eyes are not good enough to see what's right in front of you. You know I'm right in this. The Uchiha clan cannot simply see the forest for the trees. They believe that a coup would work when actually it would fail, resulting in the near extinction of the Uchiha clan, unless they have something big planned, maybe outside help from another village or help inside from some ninja or ninja clans. He says Hiruzen meanwhile has a serious thought on his face, then decides to speak up. Shisui, although I am not disregarding your assumption, you've given me some good points to look at, but I need actual proof. If they are planning a coup d'etat, then I will try to sort this out peacefully. We cannot afford to have a civil war break out. He replies, getting a nod from Shisui. He looks at Itachi, who has a thoughtful look on his face. Itachi and Shisui, I want you both to try and figure out what they are planning and report anything you find to me. If they are planning a coup, I want to know when and how they will pull it off. Dismissed. He drops the seal, and Itachi vanishes while Shisui stays behind. So Shisui, how is your air rank mission? I assume he has made progress. Hiruzen days. Yes, he has made a lot of progress. It's a good thing you had me train him before the academy, they would have wasted his talents. I did however lie to Itachi about him being the most level-headed Uchiha and being the best Sharingan user only behind Madara. Those titles belong to Naruto, but he doesn't train with his Sharingan all the time. Sometimes I fight him with my Sharingan activated while he leaves his off. If I had to gauge his skill level, I would say without his Sharingan, he is high Genin to just under mid Chunin Jutsu wise, however with it, I would say mid to high Chunin, however his speed I would say high Chunin. In Jutsu only, since he only knows Jutsu for only one of his chakra natures, however I have a feeling that he will be an all-around shinobi with skills in every area. I do have one request. I suggest introducing him to Anko. I believe she would do great knowing Kiyomi had a child and is around. You know how much Kiyomi helped her after she returned to the village and how much of a mother figure she was to her. I believe I can bring her to the Hokage private training ground and have them spar. I'm sure his stance will make her realize who his mother is. I think they would do well for each other. I can key in her chakra signature to give her a place where she can train besides the Forest of Death, since nobody can spy on her. Also, I believe in a few years Naruto will be able to remove her curse mark. The Hokage is shocked by this. What makes you think he will be able to remove it even when Jiraiya can't and he is a seal master? He asks. Well, according to Naruto, Jiraiya must be a seal master at suppressing things and creating barriers. However, Naruto says that if Jiraiya wasn't specifically studying Juinjutsu and how to remove them, then he will never be able to remove it. Which makes me wonder what he was doing while he was supposedly checking her seal to see if he could remove it. Anyway, can I bring her to meet Naruto tomorrow? Hiruzen thinks but finally agrees to this, however tells Shisui to tell her what she discovers tomorrow is a S-rank secret. Shisui nods and vanishes to the dango stand where he sees Anko sitting with Kurenai, another purple-haired kunoichi named Yugao, and another one with black hair and red marks on her face. This was Hana Inyazuka, the current heir to the Inyazuka clan. Hello ladies. He greets them Kurenai Yugao, and Hana gives him a regular greeting. Anko on the other hand. Hey Shisu-chan, what's up? Are you still looking for that date from me? Sorry, but I'm currently looking at somebody else to break my barriers down and ravish me like a wild stallion. She says, getting a shake of the head from Shisui and a blush from Kurenai Yugao and Hana. No, I'm not here for that. I'm here to tell you I need you to meet me at the Hokage's training ground tomorrow. He says. Shisui, I told you I'm not interested, she says with anger in her voice, thinking he is just looking for a quickie with the snake whore. Anko, he says, seriously shocking her since he never speaks to her like that. Meet me at the Hokage training ground tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Please. He says. She nods her head and he vanishes. What do you think he wants, Anko? Asks Yugao. Yeah, from as long as we knew him he was never serious with you like that. Says Kurenai. I think you should go and not treat this like the dates you say you'll go on and stand them up. Says Hana. I was going regardless and those men only wanted one thing from me, to get in the snake whore pants. I don't want that. I want a man that wants to actually get to know me. Have a future with me, raise a family. I may dress like this, but it's to get a certain man's attention. If he gives me a chance and we work out, I will stop wearing such revealing clothing, you know. No more miniskirts that show off my panties or see-through shirts with only a little padding that covers just my nipples, you know. She says. Her friends nod at this. They know Anko only dresses like that for attention, but what only they know, she is as pure as the day she was born, never even kissed a guy. She has problems trusting men after Orochimaru betrayed her. However, she has her eyes a certain shinobi with a scar across his nose, but she rarely sees him in the village. What she doesn't know is that her crush is in the Anbu due to her going missing, so he doesn't even know she's back in the village. I'm gonna get going, guys. Apparently I have to be up early tomorrow, even though it was supposed to be my day off. They all hug her and she leaves to go home for the night. Next morning Naruto arrives at the training ground at 5:30 am to get so light early training and he begins with some stretches, push-up, sit-ups and finally some laps around the training ground 30 with his weights on and 30 with his weights off. After that it was 7 am, so he decided to start making a resistance seal for his body that would make it harder to move around. He wanted to use gravity seals, however he was stopped by a note that says it would stunt the growth of somebody if they were not finished growing, so he figured he would just use it to weigh his opponents down. After creating the seal and applying it to a shadow clone, however, he got the memories from the clone about how the resistant seal felt like. He would have to ask Shisui about that later. So he creates another clone and has him draw the seal on his body, and it feels like he has a 30-pound bodysuit on. He looks the clock he brings with him, and it shows 7:15 am, so for the next 45 minutes, he is jogging around the training ground until he senses Shisui enter the barrier. However, he has the same purple-haired lady with the trench coat he sees walking around. "Okay Naruto, this is Anko, I brought her here to meet you and spar with her," Shisui says while Anko gets pissed. "You brought me here to spar with some gaki, are you fucking serious Shisui? I don't have time for this, it's my day off." She turns to leave, but feels somebody grab her shoulder. It's Shisui. "Anko, just do it please, you'll understand why I brought you here," he says softly to her. She sighs and nods. "Alright gaki, let's just get this over with," she says, getting into her Taijutsu stance while Naruto drops into his Kame stance, causing Anko to freeze and tears build up. "How do you know that stance?" she whispers. "How?" she yells. Before Naruto responds, Shisui beats him to it. He knows because it belongs to his mother Anko, he says, causing her to break down. "I'll leave you two alone, I'll let you two spend the day together. Naruto, you have the day off today, spend it with Anko, you'll understand why," Shisui says and leaves them alone. Naruto walks to her and sits down and she stops crying but still has sniffles. "You knew my mother?" He gets a nod from her. "What was she like?" "She was the nicest person I knew and took me in after a tragic incident happened. I was what you would call a prodigy during my years in the academy, so of course I caught the eye of a lot of people willing to train me. However, the one that wanted me the most was Orochimaru. He was one of the legendary Sannin who wouldn't want to train under him, so after I graduated the academy, he took me under his wing and trained me. However, we went on a training trip and that's when things went horrible. I didn't know he was experimenting on humans and killing them. I didn't even know he was responsible for a lot of our jonin and civilians going missing, so during our training trip he trained me in poisons and medicine. However, the medicine was his way of covering up for his experiments and had a hidden section of his lab where he would take what I made and inject them into humans and none of them would survive. One day he made a breakthrough in cursed seals in his search for immortality, and since he ran out of guinea pigs, he strapped me down and bit me on the neck, giving me the very first curse mark." She pulls down her trench coat and the left side of her shirt, showing him the curse seal on her shoulder. "I was branded and left alone to die, however he came back a week later and I was still alive. He was surprised by that, but was mad I wouldn't use the curse mark, so he changed it up, and all it does is cause me pain. I was rescued by a squad of Anbu who were returning from a mission and brought me to the Hokage, who had to have me taken to T&I department, get everything he did out of me, but to their surprise my memories of all the experiments he did were wiped out by one of the Anbu who was a spy for Orochimaru and part of the Yamanaka clan. However, didn't cover his steps and was executed. However, the village found out about me and treated me like shit. Ever since, because of the curse make, I became known as the snake whore, and I was ready to kill myself because all of the friends I had betrayed me and treated me like the rest of the village. That's when I met your mother, who took me in and placed me on her genin team with Kurenai and Yugao. She became like a mother to us, but me and her were the closest and she tried to adopt me at one point, but the Uchiha clan head at the time found out and forbid it to spite your mother for not wanting to marry his son. He also banished marriage and relationships outside of the clan because she showed no interest in marrying somebody from the clan. There you have it, my story. I was close to being raised as your sister and I was robbed of that. I didn't even know she was pregnant with you. I guess she kept it a secret since I have a feeling your father isn't an Uchiha. So tell me about your life." He sighs and tells her everything from his life in the orphanage, the beatings they gave him, his first friend with the 2 buns in her hair, and his best friend Samui meeting the Ichirokas, and then about the beating from the villagers, and meeting Shisui and some of his training. "Anko, I know we don't know each other, but I wouldn't mind having you as my friend or sister." He gives her a hug as she starts crying again, saying thank you over and over again. After she gets done crying, she speaks. "Naruto, with your training I can teach you a jutsu your mother taught me, but first, have you learned all the steps to fire manipulation and learned the fire dragon jutsu yet?" He nods. "Great, now watch me." She goes through 20 hand signs and calls out, "Fire style." Dragon Rain Jutsu. What happens next leaves Naruto in shock and awe. She breathes out a huge flame in the air, but it doesn't go away, it stays there. Then large dragons made of begin to fall out onto the ground and explode on contact. Wow, Anko ni, that was so cool. I need to learn that as well as the other jutsus she left behind. He says with stars in his eyes. Her heart flutters at him calling her that, but she smiles fondly at him and gives him a hug and kiss on the cheek. Don't worry Naru-chan, I'll teach you this, and one more jutsu she made that requires water affinity like me. Do you have that as well? He nods and tells her his 4 affinities. She is shocked but gets over it. Okay, good, I can only help with your fire and water, those are the only 2 I have, but I'll teach you what I can for the next year. She says. Now this jutsu requires a high water affinity due to the fact that it's an offensive and defensive jutsu at the same time. She goes through 20 hand seals. Water style. Octo Shield Jutsu. What happens is she is surrounded by a large body of water acting as a shield. However, there are 8 tentacle whips of water at the top of the shield. She moves her hand and one of them moves towards a small tree knocking it over. Whoa, cool. But do you really need to use all 20 hand signs? Shisui told me I can perform jutsu with less hand signs if I practice. You must have known these jutsus for at least 10 years, how come you use all 20 hand signs? Still I don't get it. He says. Oh my dear little Naru-chan, I can do the Dragon Rain Jutsu with 3 hand signs, however I need 5 for the Octo Shield Jutsu. I should be able to get the fire down to 1, but the water will stay at 5, since my fire is the strongest of the 2 affinities. Okay, that makes sense I guess. Now let's eat before we start training. We have about 8 hours left until my training is done for the day. He says as he unseals 2 bento boxes with chicken teriyaki, rice and vegetables, and 2 bottles of fruit juice. Why do you have 2 bento boxes and bottles of juice? She asks. Well, one of them was for Shisui, but he left so I figured you can have it. He says they began eating, and Anko is shocked at how good it is and compliments him. As they eat they talk about dreams for the future and whatnot, and she can't help but smile at his dream. After they finish she stands up and stretches. Alright Naru-chan, time for training. She says with a certain glee and sickly sweet smile on her face, making Naruto regret this. Oh shit, what have I done? He thought, crying and I'm tears. 157. Chapter 7. Academy and Tragedy. Did you summon talking? Did you summon thinking? Normal talking, normal thinking. I do not own Naruto that belongs to Kishimoto. 1 year later. It's been a full year since Naruto met Anko, and it's been hell for the last year. He has been coming home with bruises that even the Kyuubi had some trouble healing for a while, until it was used to healing them and only took a few minutes. Anko trained him in dodging, poison, and some water ninjutsu outside of the jutsu his mother created. She taught him water dragon jutsu, water wall, water prison, and water clone. However, them hanging out also got Anko kicked out of the dango shop. The result was a prank done by Anko and Naruto so bad that the shop still isn't open again yet. So now she usually eats at the Akimichi BBQ shop or the Ichiraku's ramen shop, which now sells dango and sake. Of course the civilian council tried blaming Naruto and Anko for the prank, however like last time it resulted in Naruto getting off with no punishment, along with Anko, who openly laughed when Naruto openly insulted Danzo and Kaharu to their faces. Now however we find the 8-year-old sitting at the training ground working on his wind chakra nature by splitting a rock in half, but can only get it halfway. He would use shadow clones, but he rises to use them except for jutsu practice and not chakra control or nature manipulation. Shisui taught him 4 wind jutsus from scrolls he collected. He taught him wind style, gale palm, wind style, vacuum blade, wind style, wind bullet and wind style. Sonic boom. This is Naruto's favorite wind jutsu because you clap your hands and it creates a tunnel of wind while crescent-shaped blades of wind move around in the tunnel and cut the opponent up. It's been an interesting yet hectic year for Naruto. The last nurse alive that helped deliver Naruto revealed who his mother was to the public, thinking the Hokage wouldn't do anything to her because he was old and too kind. What happened to her was she was tortured by Anko, who managed to torture her for 48 hours straight non-stop while keeping he alive before she finally killed her when news got out that he was the son of Kiyomi Uchiha. The village treated him even worse, knowing she was the most hated Uchiha since Madara Uchiha, all because she didn't want a loveless marriage. The Uchiha clan started to act like they cared, but Naruto knew otherwise. They just wanted the Sharingan to remain in the Uchiha clan. However, they also wanted the Kyuubi under their control, but they were stopped by the law, stating Naruto can never be adopted or taken in by anybody. He also met Sasuke, who tried to belittle him every chance he got, but each time Naruto would look at him with a blank face and walk away. He also met Kurenai, who he recognized from the orphanage, and she became somewhat friends with her, only somewhat, because he told her he learned to read from the Icha books, and Kurenai hated those books. He also met Yugao and Hana. He didn't mind Yugao since he knew she was the same cat mask Anbu that used to watch him. Now Hana was a different story because she tried to tease him, not knowing he already had the talk after she got done teasing him. He told her if he was a few years older, he would put a ball gag in her mouth, cuff her hands and fuck her dogja style, while pulling her hair and slapping her ass and destroy her insides until she couldn't feel her legs anymore like the dirty little bitch in Heat that she was. The result was Hana being put in the hospital via a severe nosebleed, causing blood loss. After that she never teased him again. She did say she was willing to let him do it, but he said he was saving himself for the love of his life, but wouldn't say who. Only Anko knew who he was talking about. After getting rid of those thoughts, Naruto got up and made his way home, since he would be starting the academy tomorrow, and Anko said she would walk him. Next morning Naruto wakes up and gets ready for his first day at the academy. Naruto knows he is well above academy standards. He was taught a lot by Anko and Shisui, and Anko said without his Sharingan overall, he can take on most high chunin, and with the Sharingan he was able to take on a mid-jonin opponent. His ninjutsu they put him at low jonin. His genjutsu was non-existent without the Sharingan. However, due to some training with Kurenai, he can break out of a rank genjutsu now. His taijutsu was high chunin level, and his fuinjutsu he was a level 9 seal master and was currently working on level 10, but he was learning very slowly because this level would cover juinjutsu as well and how to create seals with your own chakra and marking people with seals by just touching them. He wondered how Jiraiya was a seal master if he couldn't do any of these. He was interrupted by a smoke bomb coming through his window exploding, showing a banner stuck to his ceiling with a great sexy and single Anko. Mitarashi has arrived with a chibi Anko in the corner, holding up a peace sign. He can only shake his head at this, but he knows he wouldn't trade Anko for anything in the world. Are you ready, Naru-chan? The academy entrance ceremony starts in 5 minutes. She says. He looks at the clock in shock, and it does start in 5 minutes, so he puts his shoes on, and they leave via Shunshin. Anko via leave Shunshin and Naruto just disappears. It helps when you have Shisui the teleported teach you the Shunshin jutsu. However, Naruto's working on adding elemental nature to his to give it more flash. They arrive just in time for the speech to begin. They see the Hokage who starts talking, but Naruto tunes him out and looks around. He notices he is in a class filled with clan heirs and a lot of civilians. 1500 Ryo says none of the civilians bothered to even train. He thought to himself. He was broken out of his thoughts when the sound of a bell rang, not knowing what was going on. He looked at Anko, who sighs knowing he wasn't paying attention. You are in room 103. You are with all the clan heirs and some civilians in the room you will be in for the next 4 years, so get used to it. She said and kneeled down to give him a hug, much to the shock of everybody around, and whispered about how the demon brat and snake whore began, in which she stands up and yells. Do you have a fucking problem? How you got some shit to say? Nobody spoke up, everybody was quiet and kids were crying. Hiruzen seeing this can only sigh at this. That's what I thought. Now have a good day, Naru-chan. She leans and kisses him on the head and leaves, not seeing the look on a certain scar-faced chunin. Inside the classroom the teacher is doing roll call and gets to his name and says it with venom. Naruto Uchiha. Yes, that's another thing, he had to change his last name to Uchiha much to his displeasure. Uzumaki sounded much better. He gives a 2-finger lazy salute. The teacher marks him down and begins the lessons for the day, but not before kicking Naruto out of class for some dumbest reason. He didn't really care though, so he just left with no arguments. A few months later Naruto was sneaking around the Uchiha clan compound and found out when and how the Uchiha clan are going to attack. He goes to Shisui's training field and finds him standing there. Shisui, I just found out how the Uchiha clan are going to pull off the coup and when they are doing it. He says frantically. Yeah, I know as well, Itachi just told me 5 minutes ago. He says with a sigh, I have an idea on how to stop the coup from happening. He activates his Sharingan and then his Manjikyu appears. I have gained a genjutsu called Kodamatsukami that allows me to send suggestions into someone's brain and make them act out those suggestions without them even knowing. However, I only have one shot at this because with my eyes only being a Manjikyu and not having eternal light, I can only use it once. I want to run this by the Hokage since it seems his peaceful talks will no longer work. He says deactivating his Sharingan. That sounds like a good plan, Shisui. I don't think he would have a problem with it, it's to protect the village and ultimately the world from another war. Naruto says. Him and Shisui talk some more before Naruto goes home and Shisui does the same. However, the next day we find Naruto in class looking at the clock. He has 1 hour left before he can leave. After an hour the bell rings. Naruto goes home and practices his Fuinjutsu some more. When he senses Shisui's chakra fluctuate, he arrives to see Shisui being attacked by 10 blank mask Anbu with his Sharingan activated and is surrounded by a green ethereal warrior fighting of the Anbu, but Naruto senses he is low on chakra and has a hole in his chest and is coughing out blood. So Naruto activates his Sharingan and rushes into battle. However, Naruto notices that these Anbu are only low Jonin level ninja in terms of skill, so he jumps down and creates an shadow clone and goes through 2 hand signs while the clone is seen holding a sign. Naruto and the clone calls out Wind style, Sonic Boom Jutsu, Fire style, Fire Dragon Jutsu. Collaboration style. Dragon Cyclone Jutsu. The wind tunnel and crescent wind blades combined with the fierce blue fire of the clone's fire dragon created a larger dragon that ate up 4 Anbu, who were not expecting this, and burned them alive while cutting them up. Seeing the other 6 Anbu distracted momentarily, Shisui uses his Susanoo to kill them, however one escaped before he could get hit but was intercepted by Naruto who caught him and a Sharingan Genjutsu paralyzing him, and before Naruto could do anything the Anbu butt down on a pill and began to foam out the mouth falling to the ground dead. Amity swore until he seen Shisui barely standing up and Shisui tells him follow him to a cliff and tells Naruto to stay hidden in the trees and do not come out. Naruto does as told and few seconds later Itachi arrives concerned for his friend and Shisui explains everything to him planning on using his Manjikyu Sharingan Genjutsu to stop the coup and telling the Hokage and him approving of the plan to Danzo trying to steal his eyes with 25 rude Anbu backing him up, but failing he didn't mention Naruto at all. After all that is done Shisui summons a raven that produces a scroll and Shisui creates a clone and has it remove his eyes and put them in a container with liquid in them before handing it to the raven who disappears in a puff of smoke, already knowing what to do. Shisui steps back to the edge of the cliff and tells Itachi he is sorry he failed in his mission to stop the coup and entrusts him to stop the coup now. By now Itachi has his eyes closed and Shisui looks in Naruto's direction and gives him one last smile before falling off the cliff ending his life. Shisui Itachi yells as he tried to stop his friend from doing this and fails. He closes his eyes and blood starts to come from his eyes. He opens them to reveal his 3 pinwheel Sharingan eyes and leaves, not even noticing Naruto up in the tree, crying his eyes out. He opens them to reveal his Manjikyu Sharingan. His has 4 Chokutomo spinning around his pupil. Imagine Madara's Manjikyu, but with 4 instead of 3. A week later news has gotten out that Shisui was dead and everybody mourned for his death via suicide. They couldn't believe it, but it was true. But some people within the Uchiha clan claimed it was Itachi, even after finding Shisui's suicide note, causing him to lash out and attack 3 members of the police force before his father stopped him. Meanwhile everyone who knew how close Naruto was to Shisui went to check him and he wasn't home and he wasn't at the Hokage training ground. They looked all weak but gave up knowing he was alright since it's literally impossible to sneak up on him and they didn't feel his chakra spike. Meanwhile Naruto was sitting in the same tree he watched Shisui take his life and staring at a kunai, activating it deactivating his Manjikyu. He hasn't been training with it yet because he doesn't know what his can do. He is removed from his thoughts when the same raven Shisui summoned appeared in front of him. It dropped a scroll in Naruto's lap and disappeared. Naruto opened the scroll and channeled chakra into it before a bot fell out along with the vial with Shisui's eyes. Naruto, I know this will be hard for you to cope with it, my death was necessary for the village, even if I succeeded in stopping the coup d'etat, I would most likely have died within the year anyways. You see Naruto, what nobody knew was that I had multiple tumors grow in my body that would have required the world's best medic to remove, and she is no longer in the village. I am talking about Tsunade Senju, the granddaughter of the first Hokage Hashirama Senju. Now do not go blaming her for not being here to save me. I didn't find out until a week before we discovered the Uchiha clan's plan to take over the village. I am happy Naruto that I got to meet you and spend time with you. I cherished every single moment I spent with you. Despite you being my nephew I couldn't help but look at you as my little brother that I always wanted but never got. I have left my eyes to you because like I told you before you will need to gain eternal light and despite having the Kyuubi sealed in you, it cannot stop your eyes from losing the light, only slow down the process. I want you to practice with your Manjikyu and master them and transfer switch my eyes with yours. When everything starts to become a blur, once your eyes reach that stage they will deteriorate at a faster pace. I would suggest you having somebody you trust do the transplant for you. Keep my eyes on you at all times, you cannot let them fall into the wrong hands like someone like Danzo. The ability to basically control someone's mind would be dangerous. I so suggest placing a barely noticeable blood seal on your body and keeping them there until you need them. Now I'm here to tell you the abilities of the Manjikyu Sharingan. The first is the Genjutsu I have Kodomatsukami. It lets you go into the mind of someone to either give them suggestions or take info out of them without them even knowing you did it. The second ability is the most powerful Genjutsu that can only be broken by another Manjikyu Sharingan, only if their will is stronger than the caster of the Tsukiyomi. This Genjutsu lets traps your opponent in a world you control for 3 days, however in the real world, it only lasts 3 seconds. Third, we have Amaterasu black flames that burn for 7 days and 7 nights and can only be extinguished by the caster of the flames. Next we have the ability to control the shape of the Amaterasu flames called Kagutsuchi. Next there is the Kamui and long range and short range move to absorb anything including yourself into your own pocket dimension. The left eye is long range, while the right eye is short ranger. Next we have the Susanoo, an ethereal warrior made of chakra, the ultimate defense of the Manjikyu Sharingan used for offensive and defensive fighting. Finally we have the Izanagi and an Izanami. Izanagi is a genjutsu that allows you to control reality and cheat death. The cost is the eye you use goes blind, and the only way to regain the eyesight is an eye transplant or unlocking the Rinnegan. The Izanami is a genjutsu that affects your opponent through physical contact between them and the user, and unlike the Izanagi where you alter destiny, the Izanami decides for you. That is all I know about the Mangekyou Sharingan and abilities. I need you to burn this note after you read it. You cannot afford to let the Uchiha clan find this note. I'm sorry but this is goodbye forever Naruto, please do not fall down the path of darkness and do not go looking for revenge. I have a feeling Danzo may come after me for my eyes since I seen how he was looking me when I told my plan, let things run its course, and if Danzo comes after you then you may take him out, however don't do anything foolish. I have high hopes for you and I know your mother would be proud of you to see the man you will become. I'll see you again someday, but not to swoon, hopefully grow up and start a family, preferably with that girl Samui if you ever find her again. I'm sure your mom would like some grandbabies. I'm rambling. Noke, stay strong, work hard and never forget who you are. Shisui Uchiha. Naruto burns the note after reading it again one more time and using his Sharingan to remember it word for word. He gets up with a look of determination. He places a small blood seal on the inside of his bicep and stores Shisui's eyes in it, then he gets up and begins practicing his Mangekyou abilities. Meanwhile, a certain fox in a cage looks on at Naruto's determination and notices the darkness that was forming again simply vanished. It was at that moment where the Kyuubi deemed Naruto worthy and would leave him a few parting gifts for when he is finally set free from his prison in a few years. After a few hours of practicing his Mangekyou, he found out he can use Kamui, Amaterasu, and Tsukiyomi, which means he will be able to use Kagutsuchi and the Susanoo, but isn't pushing it. He needs to master what he has now, and with that he returns to the village and enters his apartment to see Anko sleeping on the couch peacefully. He grabs a blanket and places it over her, causing her to wake up, and when she notices him, give him a hug and asks if he's okay, and he tells her about the letter Shisui wrote for him, excluding the part about Danzo and the Uchiha Kudeted. It did however scare her. She found out he will go blind, but she was relieved when it was a way around it, so she was determined to learn medical ninjutsu to help him out. When the time came for the transfer, it was past midnight when he finally went to sleep. He still has the academy to go to after all. He wakes up the next day feeling like a huge weight was lifted off his shoulders. He decided to walk to school for one and can already feel the hateful stares he is getting, but ignores them. He also senses the Anbu following him. One is Kadaka Yugao, another is Boat, who is leaking hated at him. However, he also feels one more hanging far back that is emotionless and knows that one belongs to Root. So Danzo already is trying to get me. Sorry you pedophile, I don't roll that way. He thought as he turned down an alley and shunshuns to the school, losing both regular and Root Anbu that was following him. He arrives at the classroom just as the teacher says his name. Naruto Uchiha is absent yet again. He goes to put another red mark, but Naruto stops him. I'm right here sensei, he says, causing everyone to look at the door. Yo, he says. However, everybody starts calling him names which he doesn't listen to because he is busy thinking about Samui again. She should be here with me right now. He thought, unaware that she was thinking the same thing in Kumo since she moved there. She has adopted a serious stoic look on her face and doesn't speak much. She is a second in her class only because the number one girl was the Two-Tails Jinchuriki, who had previous training already. She kept her blonde hair in the same style and never took the necklace off unless she was training. She doesn't talk to her parents at all and they honestly don't care. It's funny how they treated Naruto with hate but love the Jinchuriki that live in Kumo. Naruto told her the second day because she told him her secret of believing monsters lived in her closet and under her bed, and he told her about the Kyuubi. She can't wait for the day she can go on a ninja mission to look for him because she still believes he is alive. Back to Naruto, he finally stops staring off into space and comes back after the insults come, and in typical Naruto fashion he responds. I'm sorry, what was that, he said, making everyone including the teacher fall over. He shrugs and goes to sit down. The class remains the same except he didn't get kicked out, he was just ignored, not that he really cared. Lunchtime came around and he took out a bento and started to eat and look up when somebody stood over him and he saw Sasuke along with his fan club and Kiba. For some reason, as far as Naruto remembers, they don't like each other. Hey look everybody, it's the loser from the loser side of the Uchiha clan, Kiba says, getting laughs from everybody. Hey loser, stand up and bow to your superior as I'm a part of the main family and son of the clan head. Sasuke said, however Naruto just ignored him. However, what Kiba said next set Naruto off. Yeah, you heard him, stand up and bow to your superiors. You could be like us, but you're nothing but a branch member because of your mother. Instead of her obeying the clan like a good little bitch like she should have, she decided to go out and whore around with random men and just had to have you. I bet if she was alive she would lay down and spread her legs for me as well. The next thing Kiba knew, he had a fist in his stomach and was coughing up blood a lot from a broken rib, puncturing his lung. The teacher with the scar across his nose sees this and rushes over. Naruto, what the hell is your problem? Go home, you're suspended for a week, you aren't supposed to. He stopped talking when he saw the cold look in Naruto's eyes. Shut up, Naruto said before walking off. The teacher picked Kiba up and took him to the hospital to be treated. Later that day Naruto is in the Hokage's office with Kiba, the scarred teacher, and they were waiting for his mother to arrive. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," Hiruzen says, and in walks a lady he recognized from the council meetings, and Hana, who blushes when she sees Naruto again, remembering what he said to her last time they talked, getting a raised eyebrow from Hiruzen and her mother. "I'm glad you could make it on such short notice." However, there was an incident in school between these two which landed Kiba in the hospital, but he was able to get treated and patched up. He says. Tsuna nods at this. "I'm aware there was an incident at school, however I want to know what happened because I've met Naruto before and it would take Kiba doing or saying something stupid for Naruto to react like that. So what happened?" Kiba stayed silent and refused to answer, so Naruto said everything that happened, which Kiba denied. So Tsuna asked if Inoichi can come search his memories, and within 20 minutes he came and searched Kiba's memories for the incident and revealed what Naruto said was indeed true. Kiba had a scared look on his face from the looks his mom and sister were giving him because they knew who his mom was. Kiba then starts throwing insults at Naruto, who of course once again isn't paying attention and is reading a book on Fuinjutsu and looks up with Kiba pointing at him and everybody waiting for his response and simply replies. And what was that, pissing Kiba off, and Hiruzen was hoping Naruto doesn't start showing up late to everything. Hiruzen dismisses everyone, but Tsuna asks a question. "Naruto, why was Hana blushing when she looked at you?" She asked, curious of what was going on, so Naruto whispered in her ear what he told Hana and said loud enough, "With my stamina I can make that happen too." What happens next is Tsuna gets a nosebleed but manages to stay conscious. However, she gets weak in the knees and Hana passes out from blood loss again from another nosebleed. Hiruzen is silently cursing his luck for not knowing what was said, as it could be used in the next Icha book. Everybody leaves but Naruto, who stays behind to hang out with his Jiji and talk. He leaves at night and smells blood and notices 2 chakra signatures, killing everything. However, one is fluctuating like his doze when he uses the Kamui to teleport himself into his dimension. He activated his own Kamui and went into his own dimension and traveled around the Uchiha clan district, seeing Itachi killing his own clan. "So this is the way you chose to deal with the coup, Itachi. I don't know if Shisui would approve of this, but I'll trust your judgment if Shisui wanted you to deal with it." He thought to himself just as he was about to leave until he noticed a guy in a mask walk up to Itachi and say something to him before leaving. Interesting, so that is the guy claiming to be Madara Uchiha. I've seen pictures of Madara and this guy doesn't even have the right body size, and I can tell he uses a jutsu to disguise his voice. Something isn't right here. He thought before moving towards his house before exiting his pocket dimension. And going to his house. "I need to practice the Kamui more. It takes 4 seconds for me to activate the Kamui, that's too long for me. I need it to be instinct activated. Then I can start trying on the Kagutsuchi and Susanoo. I need to learn some more of my mom's ninjutsus as well. I heard she had a lighting jutsu she couldn't handle due to her lighting affinity and not being strong enough to handle it despite her doing all of the exercises." He said to himself before falling asleep. He wakes up in the morning walking. He can hear the people talking about the Uchiha massacre, but he remained calm because it didn't affect him. When he was asked why, he said the only person he cared for from the Uchiha clan was dead before the massacre happened but would never tell who it was. He gets to the classroom and the teacher comes in and says both Uchiha have the entire week off from school to deal with the massacre. All Naruto did was packed a week's worth of clothes and stayed at the Hokage training grounds and trained his manjutsu techniques and begin on lightning manipulation. The following week he was supposed to return to school. He was walking when he saw an old lady struggling with her bags and decided to help her out, but she lived on the other side of town and arrived at school 3 hours late. "Naruto, mind telling me why you're late?" the teacher asked, knowing he wasn't paying attention. To his surprise, Naruto answered right away. However, the answer is what pissed him off. "Well, you see, I was on my way when I spotted an old lady struggling with her bags and I walked her home, but I had to take the long easy back to a black cat getting in my way," he said. Silence everybody but the teacher and Sasuke, who was brooding, had the same thought. Does he really expect us to believe that? Damn it, I have a Kakashi in class. This was going to be a long 4 years. Chapter 8. Graduation and Genin team and love. Did you summon talking? Did you summon thinking? Normal talking, normal thinking. I do not own Naruto that belongs to Kishimoto. 5 years later, Naruto was walking down the streets of Konoha on his way to the academy for graduation. It was finally time for him to graduate and become a genin. It was 5 years because the Sandaime decided to add an extra year in not wanting to send kids out at 12 years old on dangerous missions. He wanted to add 2 years, however he had to make it 1 year due to being outvoted by the civilian council who had children in the academy, and with the vote of the Uchiha clan not being counted anymore, he lost the vote. Naruto was excited even though his skills are way above Genin level without his Sharingan. He is at low mid Jonin, however, with his Sharingan activated, he can take on a high Jonin. but it would be close. Now if we were to use his Manjikyu he can take on a mid-Anbu level opponent. Speaking of his Manjikyu, Naruto was able to summon the Amaterasu flames almost instantly. His Tsukiyomi lasted the full 3 seconds in the real world. He got the Kamui down to 1 second, however it was still too slow for him. The guy who used it at the Uchiha massacre used it instantly. He unlocked Kagetsuchi and was a natural at it, however he has yet to unlock his Susanoo yet, but he isn't worried and doesn't want to stress his eyes yet. His relationship with Anko has grown and it was like they were together his entire life. She even took over his second bedroom and made it her own, although he didn't mind. Kurenai was finally able to get over her issue with Naruto and they became close. Hana tried to convince him to let her take his virginity when he became a genin, however he turned her down but introduced her to Genma, who he was cool with after meeting him during one of his pranks on a civilian shop that Genma didn't really like because the merchant was a major douchebag. They have been together for 3 years now. He met Hei through Yugao and asked him why he was always coughing. He told him he had a lung disease that nobody found a cure yet and Naruto vouched to find it for him. Kurenai was secretly dating Asuma, who Naruto met a few years ago. After his return from the Guardian 12 position he decided to let them remain a secret. Now the 13-year-old has finally reached the academy and is ready to take the exam. Why hello Naruto, nice of you to join us, after all you're only 3 hours late. Haruka said with an eye twitch and barely contained anger. He took over after Naruto's second year after he decided to retire from Anbu. After seeing Anko back in the village he tried to talk to her but both of them would stutter and blush before saying goodbye. Naruto found it pathetic and decided after he graduates he will get them together as he already had a plan. However, Haruka's assistant Mizuki was pissed that Haruka waited for him to show up. He wanted the demon brat to fail and he would make sure he did. Well, you see Haruka-sensei, I was walking to school when I must have taken a wrong turn along the road and got lost. He says, which was true, however nobody believed him. Whatever, just sit down. He said, now since Naruto is here we can begin the first test, which you have 45 minutes. The first test is a written test. The sound of a head hitting the table was heard and it was Naruto who did it. It wasn't a secret, he hated written tests, he found them pointless even though he always passed. 45 minutes later all the tests we completed. Alright everyone, outside for the next portion of the exam, kunai and shuriken throwing, followed up by a taijutsu spar against Mizuki, in which you have to last at least 2 minutes. The clan heirs all did good except Ino Yamanaka, who got a 4 on kunai throwing and a 5 on the shuriken throwing. The only person who did worse than her was Sakura Haruno, who got a 3 on the kunai and a 2 on shuriken. Naruto was wondering how she was the best kunoichi in the class with skills as pathetic as hers. It was now Sasuke's turn, in which resulted in high-pitched squeaking from the Sasuke fan club. Okay Sasuke, go ahead. Haruka said. Sasuke says nothing and just throws the kunai land in 9 out of 10, causing his fangirls to scream, then throws the shuriken and hits 9 as well. Sasuke-kun is so cool. Marry me Sasuke, look at Sasuke-kun go. The fangirls screamed out. Alright, last up Naruto. Haruka says. Naruto walks up and throws one kunai out. A pulse of chakra from Mizuki causes it to move to the left and he completely misses. Everyone laughs, but Naruto releases Kai, shutting them up. Hey Haruka-sensei, can I restart? Apparently Mizuki can't control his chakra and it interfered in my test. Mizuki agrees because he also felt the chakra pulse. Naruto throws a kunai and shuriken and hits all 10. He cheated. Yeah, there's no way he is better than my Sasuke-kun. Your Sasuke-kun, he belongs to me. No me. Shut up, Haruka yells with his big head jutsu. Now everyone inside for the Jinjutsu portion of the test. You have to break out of a D-rank Jinjutsu. Then we move on to the final part of the test. However, Mizuki will be doing the Jinjutsu while I grade them. However, I will be in charge of the ninjutsu portion. He says. Everybody breaks out of the Jinjutsu portion until it's Naruto's turn. Mizuki goes through hand signs for an B-rank Jinjutsu, however Naruto still breaks out of it faster than most did on a D-rank Jinjutsu. Haruka, not knowing it was B-rank Jinjutsu, past Naruto, missing the smug look Naruto gave Mizuki for knowing what he did. Alright class, everybody wait here and I will call your names for the ninjutsu portion and determine if you passed or not. He explains. After the ninjutsu portion is over, Naruto will put his plan into motion to get Anko and Haruka together. After a while all of the class had taken the test except Naruto, which baffles him how Ino took hers before him and her last name begins with the letter Y, but he doesn't dwell on it. So after Ino comes in, it's finally his turn. Okay Naruto, for this I need you to perform the substitution jutsu, the henge, and make at least 3 clones. Naruto shocks them by doing the first 2 without hand signs, substituting himself with Mizuki's chair, causing him to fall, and switching back making the chair fall on his face. He then henged into Shisui even with the Sharingan activated when he released the henge. Haruka noticed the sad look in his eyes and realized Shisui was the person Naruto cared about the most in the Uchiha clan. Okay Naruto, I need you to make at least 3 clones for me. Naruto nods and uses the one-hand sign. Shadow clone jutsu. 3 perfect copies of Naruto appear and Iruka has his jaw on the floor but recovers from his shock. I'm sorry Naruto, but we can't pass you since you have to make a regular clone. Mizuki says with a smirk, however that smirk goes away when Iruka speaks. What are you talking about, Mizuki? Of course if he passes he could have used an elemental clone if he wanted to, all the test said was to create 3 clones, it never mentioned what kind. Congratulations Naruto, you passed. He hands him his headband with a smile. Shisui would be proud of you Naruto, he thought to himself. Meanwhile Mizuki had to come up with another plan to get the forbidden scroll to take to his master. Naruto puts the headband in his pocket and slips a piece of paper into Iruka's pocket before leaving. Hokage monument at the top, 8 p.m. don't be late, dress nice. Iruka only looks at the note before burning it and wondering why he should go, but trusts Naruto and walks back to the classroom. Naruto enters and Kiba has to open his big mouth. I guess the loser couldn't pass a simple exam, what an idiot, he says, causing everybody to laugh at Naruto except Shikamaru and Choji, who can see the headband in his pocket, and a certain pale lavender-eyed Hyuga who watches him from afar. Iruka enters and shuts everyone up with his big head jutsu. Congratulations to everyone that passed the test. Tomorrow will be team assignments in the morning at 8 a.m. However, before Iruka can finish, Naruto leaves. Well, once again congratulations and good luck in your ninja careers. He says as he goes home, having 3 hours to get ready. Naruto arrives at Anko's house with a black dress she left at his house that showed off her womanly figure that would have made any man pass out with a nosebleed, but Naruto didn't mind, he only had eyes for one person. The dress went down to her knees and had a slit going down from the middle of her left thigh to her knee, showing off her leg, not in a slutty way, but enough to tease the man she wore it for. Naruto remembers taking the dress off and taking care of it while staring at it with a sad smile, thinking she would never get to wear it. However, today was the day she would get her chance. Naruto hung the dress on the front of her bedroom door with the same note and vanished when he felt her chakra signature closing in on her apartment. She walked in, saw the note and wondered what he was up to, but decided to go anyway. At 8 p.m. Iruka arrived in a black suit with a red shirt that had left the top button unbuttoned. He finished with it off with red dress shoes that looked really expensive. As he was waiting, Anko arrived in her black dress with some black 6-inch heels that complemented the dress, and she has on purple lipstick and eyeshadow. She saw Iruka there and blushed at how handsome he looked since he had his hair down and Iruka had his jaw hanging open. He couldn't believe how beautiful she looked. She had Kurenai come over and do her hair for her. She has her hair down, which reached her mid-back, which was straight, but at the end was curled up due to a curling iron. Hey Iruka, what are you doing here? She asks, looking away shyly with a blush on her face. Hey Anko, I was told to come here at 8 and it seems you got the same note. You look very beautiful. I mean that's a nice dress. He responds. He thanks. Why, you don't look too bad yourself. She replies. Damn it Anko, get it together, you don't stutter, you're better than this. She thought to herself. They stood there in awkward silence between the two of them until somebody clearing their throat made them turn around. It was Naruto with his usual spiky black hair slicked back thanks to 15 jars of hair grease and has on a waiter's outfit with a white towel on his left arm, standing next to a table with candles and some sake and wine glasses. Good evening Yumino-san, Mitarashi-san, welcome to the Hokage Monument private restaurant. My name is Naruto and I will be your server this evening. If you follow me to the table I will go and grab your meals while you enjoy the sunset. He says. They both walk over to the table and Iruka pulls the chair out for Anko while Naruto pours them some sake. He leaves to get the food prepared for them. Wow, the sunset is so beautiful from up here. She says, gazing out at the view before her. Unaware of Iruka staring at her with a loving smile. Not as beautiful as you Anko. He says, making her blush and look away. However, he reaches over and grabs her hands, making her look at him. Anko, I have to be honest, you are the most beautiful girl I've ever met and I have been wanting to tell you that since the academy, but I was too shy to say anything. When you went away with Orochimaru I was happy but sad at the same time. Happy because you were living your dream of training to become one of the best kunoichi, but I am sad because I didn't know when I would see you again. When I heard Orochimaru was a criminal wanted for human experiments and killing multiple of our shinobi during the process, I begged Hokage-sama to go after you, but he couldn't let me go. So we made a deal that if I passed the chunin exams in 6 months and impressed the judges he would promote me and personally place me in Anbu to look for you. I looked for you every mission I went on and had to give up 5 years ago because I couldn't find you. I retired from the Anbu and became an instructor at the academy. I was gonna walk away after the speech, but then I saw you standing with Naruto and I felt relieved that you were alive, and every time we talked, I would want to tell you how I felt, but the nerves just got in my way. I guess what I'm trying to say is I love you Anko Mitarashi more than you can imagine. He finishes and looks at her. She has tears in her eyes and he reaches over to wipe them away. Why now? Why tell me this now? I thought when I returned you hated me like everyone else, you were one of my best friends. I thought you betrayed me like the rest did, avoided me, and talk shit about me being the snake whore that nobody wants just to use me for a quick fucking move on. I haven't been with anybody because that's not how I am, and it was hurting me that you weren't around, you weren't there for me as I met Kurenai and Yugao, but it was too late by that time. I had already began not caring anymore and stopped taking shit from people. I wanted to kiss you so much when I see you again, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was mad at you, but my feelings for you caused me to act shy around you. So why tell me now? She asked. I honestly don't know why, I just feel like I can't hold in my true feelings for you anymore. That would be my doing. Naruto says as he returns with the food. I placed a seal on both of your chairs that makes you tell each other your true feelings. I got tired of watching you two stutter like some idiots around you, so I made this plan to get you guys together. Anko, you deserve happiness the most out of anybody in this village, and as my sister I couldn't let you live your life alone. I saw the look you had on your face when you showed me the dress when you tried it on. Haruka, I saw the look in your eyes every time I mentioned Anko around you, so I knew this had to be done. He says as he takes the seals of their chairs. Now before we get to the food, I have one more surprise for you, Anko. She gets a curious look on her face. I have finished studying Juinjutsu and mastered all levels to sealing levels by Konoha standards, and the first two of the Uzumaki sealing levels left behind by a woman who would have been my godmother. The reason I am telling you this is because when you were sleeping over my house, I took that time to study that curse seal on your neck. He says as she reaches up to her neck to cover the seal. What I've discovered about the seal is it has 3 layers. The first layer is one that feeds off nature energy, and it mixed with his own sinister chakra that gives a rush of power and acts like a drug that should be addicting. My guess is whoever he puts the curse mark on uses the power once and immediately get addicted to it, drawing them to him for training to get more power. The next layer is a mutation layer with DNA from all kinds of animals. My guess is you are supposed to transform temporarily into some kind of beast if you draw on enough power. The final layer contains what only I can say is a part of his soul. Why it's there I don't know, but I can destroy it. Even though it's a small portion of his soul, he will still feel pain like his insides are burning. There was also supposed to be a tracker seal on you. I'm so he can know where you are, but I guess he was in such a rush to finish this and messed up the tracker seal. The seal only causes you pain because you are resisting the power that is flowing through you. He says shockingly that he studied the seal without her knowing and found out all of that, while Jiraiya only found out about the nature chakra and Naruto because Naruto was a seal master even greater than Jiraiya. So what are you trying to say to me, Naruto? She says he knows she is serious because she never calls him that, it's always Naru-chan. What I'm saying is after your date I can remove it for you. The only downside is you will be in pain because of the nature chakra and his chakra being forcefully removed from you, and you will have severe chakra exhaustion, and some of your organs will start to malfunction without a medic around. I have a medical seal that will repair your body after the seal is removed, since I can't place it on you while I'm removing the curse seal, so I will have to place a paralyzing seal on you, so you can't move. I need you to be completely still, and the pain will be excruciating, and I just wanted to check if you would want to go through that or want another suppression seal placed on it. If you want it removed we have to go to the training ground we use, but Haruka will have to wait outside since he isn't allowed in the barrier that protects it from anybody not keyed into the barrier. I have everything set up there for the removal. But if you want the suppression seal I can do it now. It's up to you. He says. She gets a thoughtful expression on her face taking all of this in. She can either go through excruciating pain and almost die to have it removed or just get a suppression seal placed on it but still feel pain from the seal, although a little. She makes up her mind. Naruto, what would happen to you during the seal removal? I know something will happen to you, so what is it? She asks. I'll only have chakra exhaustion, but due to the Kyuubi I should be good in the morning. Yes, I know about the Kyuubi, Haruka, I've known for 7 years. He cuts Haruka off as he is about to speak up. On top of that I'll just be sore in the morning, but I should be fine as the day goes on. You however Anko will need to be on bed rest from the strain on your body for maybe 3 days. Oh, and your chakra control will be bad, maybe taking you down to chunin level control. But that's only because your reserves are going to expand over the 3 days bed rest, so you will go from mid-jonin reserves with high jonin control to low anbu level reserves with chunin level control. He says. Okay, I want this shit off tonight. I'll have Yugao stay with me the next 3 days. She says she is happy that it will hurt like hell, but it's worth it, and if it's anybody she trusts the most with this it's Naruto. Great. Naruto claps his hands once and clears his throat to put back on his waiter voice. He removed the lids on the plates of food. For the lovely young lady we have chicken katsu served with white rice and tonkatsu sauce with some gyoza on the side. He says. Thank you my good man, this looks divine. Anko says, playing along with Naruto in her own proper rich voice. Now for the gentleman here we have goya-chan pure served with fried rice and on the side we have kale kabachi. He says. Haruka, deciding to play along with them, says. Thank you kind sir, I shall recommend this restaurant to the highest people possible. They all stare at each other before breaking out in laughter. Now for dessert I have prepared a triple chocolate cake served with ice cream. He says he puts the dish on the table and sees Anko drooling at the sight of the cake and ice cream. She stands up and gives Naruto a big hug which he returns. Thank you so much Naru-chan for doing this for me. She whispers to him. Iruka seeing this can't help but smile at this. Anko sits down and they begin eating and talking about missions and random stuff. It was now 10 p.m. and they were at the training field getting ready for the seal removal. Naruto gives her a t-shirt and some sweetmeats and tells her he doesn't want her to ruin the dress after her fantastic date, so she goes into the woods and changes, placing her dress in a storage scroll. She come back ready but nervous until Iruka kisses her on the cheek and says she'll be fine. She blushes but walks to Naruto. She has a look on her face and nods at her, getting what he means. She rushes and gives Iruka a passionate kiss before running towards Naruto to being the removal. They reach the ceiling area. Iruka can't see inside, so he is worried for Anko, but will trust Naruto if Anko does. Okay Anko, are you ready? Naruto asks as she nods. Okay, I need you to take your shirt off and lay on your stomach so I can get started. She does as told, and when she lays down she can't move anymore and she realizes it must be the paralysis seal. Naruto sighs and begins to rapidly go through about 50 hand signs and call out curse seal removal. Seal obliteration. He channels a huge amount of chakra and touches her curse mark and she screams out in pain that she has tears coming from her eyes. This continues for 5 minutes, but she passed out after 30 seconds of pain. The first 2 layers of the seal disappears and the third one turns into a small white snake that tries to slither away. He activates his Manjikyu Sharingan. Amaterasu. He sets the snake on fire, killing it, and then cancels the flames after letting them burn for an extra 10 minutes to be safe. In the hidden sound village, Orochimaru is on the ground screaming on the ground, writhing in pain. It feels like his body is burning from the inside out. Medic, a silver hair med teen wearing spectacles, was doing whatever he could to stop the pain, but was having no luck. Naruto finished removing the seal, and you can't even see that it was there. He removes the paralysis seal, and Anko's body begins to go into shock, and her breathing speeds up. Naruto hurries up and places the medical seal on her, and after 10 minutes her breathing returns to normal, although she is still passed out. He puts her shirt back on her and carries her to Iruka, who had a worried look on his face, but Naruto told her it was a success and that she was just sleeping and asked him to take her home so he can clean up. After all, he still had one more promise he needed to keep. After Iruka leaves, Naruto enters the barrier again after making sure to key in some of the Kyuubi chakra so the barrier security alarm doesn't go off. Naruto sits down and creates a clone with a paralysis seal for himself. The clone nods at what to do as he goes into his seal. Naruto's mindscape. Hello Kyuubi, are you ready for your freedom from this prison now? Of course I'm ready, although you took an extra 3 years, Kyuubi said with an eye twitch. Sorry about that. I learned to summon Kami, but that process of removal would take 5 hours, and I know you want to be out as soon as possible, so I learned the first 2 levels of Uzumaki sealing. Since it covered sealing and unsealing tailed beasts, the process only takes about 30 seconds, but it will hurt like a bitch on my end. He says, rubbing the back of his head, reminding the Kyuubi of a certain blonde-haired Hokage. Wow, you've really outdone yourself. You came along farther than I expected. Kyuubi said. So do you deem me worthy of your respect and knowing your name? Naruto asks. Oh, you've been worthy and had my respect since the death of your uncle. Before you interrupt me, I will explain. Now the day he died and you awaken your Manjikyu Sharingan, a darkness formed inside of you that always comes with the awakening of the Manjikyu. When you read that letter and saw that the pedophile Danzo tried to kill your uncle for his eyes and was ultimately responsible for his death, you were thinking about getting revenge, causing that darkness to grow. However, when you read that he doesn't want you to go out looking for revenge and falling down the wrong path, when he mentioned your mother and Samui, how he wants you to grow up and have a family, you started to think about that Ichiraku family as well as Anko and the old monkey. You made your resolve right then and there, and the darkness that was forming in you completely disappeared. From then on I had given you my respect and deemed you worthy of knowing my name and something else, however that will have to wait until I am free. The Kyuubi says. Well, alright, let's get this party started then. I'll see you on the outside, my friend. He says and disappears from his mindscape. Once outside, Naruto begins going through 100 hand seals at the speed of an mid-level Anbu. Uzumaki sealing. Tailed beast removal. He then laid down on his back and had the clone place the paralysis seal in him before dispersing itself 5 seconds later. All Naruto could feel was pain from the Kyuubi being freed from the seal. 30 seconds later, the Kyuubi was outstanding at all its might. Naruto was thankful for the seal around the training ground, or everybody would have felt the Kyuubi chakra and then seen it standing there. The paralysis seal wore off and Naruto was in pain all over his body. Ah, it's good to be free. Now for my 2 gifts. The first is, you may have noticed the seal's still in place now, in that I've left all but 1% of my chakra in there for you to use. But I would recommend not touching it yet. In order for you to use it you must separate the hated within the chakra. When you separate it, you need to lock it back up and let it regenerate before you can take the rest. Once you separate it, you will gain a chakra cloak that is a yellowish orange color. When you do that you will be faster than you can ever imagine and will be able to use the tailed beast bomb, but I would have to train you for that. You will also be able to create chakra arms. However, once the chakra regenerates that you resealed you should go and absorb that as well, and everything I just described to you will be enhanced by 100. Now onto the second gift. I left you the same healing ability that I have, which will be able to get passed down to your kids if you have some. Now your third and final gift from me will be this. A scroll almost the same height as Naruto appeared before him. What is this? He asks. This is the fox summoning contract. I've been keeping any eye on you from both inside and outside the seal with my little helpers. The Kyuubi motions to the three foxes coming out of the forest that Naruto always played with. One was all black with a red patch on its chest. The second one had the orange fur, but its paws were covered in white fur, and the tips of its three tails were white as well, and the final one, the one that always climbed into Naruto's lap to sleep, was still small enough to sleep in his lap and had red fur with a white patch on its chest, and its eyes were silver. These are three summons that I had watch you and saw your progress. Although I gave you my respect and found you worthy of knowing my name, it is up to them if they find you worthy of the fox contract. So do you three find him worthy of signing the fox contract? After three nods of the heads the scroll unrolls and the Kyuubi tells Naruto to prick his fingers and sign with blood and make sure he has blood on all of his fingertips and make his hand print. Naruto does as told and the scroll then disappears. So now what? He asks. Now you must try to summon the boss of the foxes. Your chakra should be replenished by now to do it. The Kyuubi says. Naruto nods, pricks his thumb and goes through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. Nothing happens. Naruto's eye twitches and he tries 3 more times. What the fuck am I doing wrong? Yells. Meanwhile the foxes including the smallest one is laughing at him. Oh, you're not doing anything wrong, I'm already here. The Kyuubi says, causing the foxes to laugh even harder. Naruto's eyes begin to twitch at dangerous level, making him look like he should be locked in a cell. Okay, enough of the jokes. The foxes that are currently with you don't talk. However, the smallest one will be able to talk as she grows a little bit more. She will become your personal summons, however you must name her. The other two are both messenger foxes. However, the black fox prefers to work at night, while the orange fox prefers to work during the day. Now Kurama, the strongest of the tailed beasts and boss of the fox, summons, hereby welcoming Naruto Uchiha as the first person worthy of signing the fox contract. Now name your personal summon so she may return home. Kurama says. Naruto thinks of a name and finally decides. He looks at the fox kid who is staring at him waiting for a name. Scarlet will be her name. Naruto says, getting a happy yip from the fox who starts to run around Naruto. While this is going on, Kurama notices the same small lizard creature with wings that was watching Naruto before. It makes eye contact with Kurama before looking at Naruto and back to Kurama, as if asking a question without speaking. Kurama nods and the creature disappears in a poof of smoke. So they want him as a summoner as well. That is interesting, but they have my blessing to give him the contract. Kurama thought. Well, I better get going. I only have a few hours left before I have to be at the academy for team assignments and my body hurt. He gets a chuckle from Kurama who nods and disappears along with the other 3 foxes. Naruto collects everything and shunshuns to his house. He decides to sleep on the couch, too tired to move to his bed. He wakes up the next morning at 7:30, so he showers and puts on his outfit. It's the same thing Shisui wore, except Naruto's didn't have the high collar or the Uchiha clan symbol. He simply refused to wear it and he didn't have a sword on his back. His headband was on his forehead, brushing the bangs out of his eyes, but he had 2 of them going down the side of his face. He walked to the academy ignoring the stares and glances towards him, and he made it to the academy. 45 minutes, gets to the classroom, and of course Kiba speaks up. Hey loser, this is for people who graduated, now get lost. Causing everybody to laugh at Naruto. Yeah, Naruto baka, you failed yesterday, only 1 Uchiha passed, and the best one at that, so leave. Said the pink-haired bit, I mean Sakura. Yeah Naruto, are you that dumb to fudge that only people with a headband are allowed? I know your mother did something dumb, but that DOESNTMESN you should follow in her footsteps. Yelled the blonde, but I mean Ino, causing the other kids to laugh even harder. Before Iruka could respond, Naruto spoke in a calm voice that reminded Sasuke of his brother, which pissed him off. You idiots clearly didn't learn from the last time somebody insulted my mother. I guess Kiba wasn't much of an example when he was put into the hospital by one punch. So clearly I need to make another example out of somebody, preferably you Ino. Perhaps you would like to be sent to the hospital by Iruka-sensei next. How about it? What about you Sakura? You're a ninja now, although a pathetic one. You're even weaker than you were when you came into the academy. You and Ino are both at the same skill level that can barely be considered academy level. For your information, I passed yesterday, just didn't put my headband on. Now shut the fuck up you good for nothing fangirls and Kiba, stop acting tough or I'll simply tell your mom and sister, let's see if you act like this around them. He turns to Iruka. Sorry I'm late Iruka-sensei. It's okay, mind telling me why you were late? He knew why he was late, but he had to act like he didn't. Yes, I was getting some last-minute training last night and overdid it, my body is still sore. He says and gets a nod from Iruka. However, Ino and Sakura decided to speak, but each were interrupted by a kunai landing as it was near their heads. Shut up, Naruto said with a cold glare. Okay, yes, as you've heard, Naruto did in fact pass yesterday. Why he didn't put his headband on I don't know. Now before the teams are assigned I have to announce Rookie of the Year, Kunoichi of the Year and the dead last. Rookie of the Year is Sasuke Uchiha. Immediately squeals and cheers were heard from his fangirls. Kunoichi of the Year belongs to Sakura Haruno. She screams. I don't know why you're happy, you only got it because the academics and your motherfucking some of the teachers to boost your physical grades. The real Kunoichi of the Year should be Hinata. Naruto says. Shut up you baka, I'm better than her, she screams at Naruto. That's enough Naruto. Sakura is Kunoichi of the Year and that's final. Even if what you said is true. He mumbled that last part under his breath, but Naruto heard him and smirked at Iruka, who smirked back at him. Now dead last belongs to Kiba and Yazuka. He said. How am I the dead last? That loser slept through basically every single lesson. He said, pointing at Naruto. Yes, Naruto did sleep through the lessons, however all his grades were higher than yours, in fact I don't even think he was trying. And he finished first in all the physical tests, however his written test scores kept him in the middle of the class. Ichi said. Now team 1 teams 1 through 6 are pointless. Team 7, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno and Dottie was cut off by Sakura yelling. Yes, take that Ino pig, true love prevails. Sakura, shut up. Now as I was saying, team 7 Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno and Naruto Uchiha, your squad leader is. He finishes and looked at Naruto whose eye was twitching. What the fuck, Gigi, I had stayed in the middle to avoid being on a team with them. Okay, you wanna put me on their team, alright fine, get ready for a whole lot of paperwork, thought to himself before he started chuckling like a madman, and somehow lightning started to appear and crackle behind him, scaring everybody near him, causing them to back away except Shikamaru and Choji, who was used to it and knew what was coming. Meanwhile all the jonin waiting for the teams to finish being named all looked at Hiruzen, who was crying, saying sorry over and over again. Ups, you alright? Asked a beard jonin Hisama Saratobi. No, I'm not okay. Would one of you mind being my stand-in for tomorrow? He asked and they all shook their head, making him cry some more. Back with Iruka after Naruto finally calmed down, he continued. Team 8 is Shino Aburam, Hinata Hyuga and Kiba. Team 9 is still in rotation, so Team 10 Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akimichi. Oh, why do I have to get stuck with fatty and lazy bones? Ino said. I am not fat. Choji yells and would have done something if Shikamaru didn't hold him down with his shadow possession. Inwardly he was thinking what Ino's problem was, out of everybody she should know better than to call Choji fat. Don't worry Choji, she isn't much of a ninja and dresses like a prostitute anyway. I'm sure if you get the urge to have some release she would spread her legs for you, of course you would have to pay, since the only person she would open her legs for free is her precious Asuka over there, so just make sure you use protection, we don't need any more of her kind running around. Same goes for you Shikamaru, if you pay her enough she might let you both in at the same time. Naruto said, sticking up for his friend made Ino cry. Naruto, that's enough, it wasn't called for. Iruka said. Neither was her calling Choji fat and Shikamaru lazy, yet she still did it. I was only sticking up for my friend. Now tell us who our Jonin sensei will be, I have to go check on Ankoni. He said, pissed off. Oh alright, team 7 Jonin sensei is Kakashi Haddock, team 8 Kurenai Yuhi, team 10 is Under Asuma, will be here at 12 to pick you up, so you have the next 3 hours to yourself. He says Naruto just shunshuns out of there, surprising everybody in the classroom that he could do that. Naruto arrives at Anko's house and uses his key to enter her apartment. She gave him a key to check on her house when she was out on missions. He walks to her room and sees her still sleeping and can sense an Anbu who he recognizes as Kat in the room, but in the shadows however her chakra is fluctuating like she is pissed. He walks over to where he senses her at and stops but doesn't take his eyes off Anko. What happened? He asks. Some rude Anbu tried to kill her, but I killed 2 of them and 1 got away. Coincidentally I get a message from the Hokage stating that I have a 2-day mission and the amount of time Anko still needs to recover. Something is not right, the message had his official stamp on it. She says as she hands him the note he read and also gets curious because as far as he knows the Hokage knew Anko needed some rest, he just didn't know why, and Naruto personally asked him to assign Yugao to watch over her. I'll be back. He shunshuns to the Hokage office with a letter in hand. Yo Gigi, why did you assign Kat a mission if she was supposed to be on Anko guard duty for the next 3 days? He asked, showing him the letter. Naruto, I didn't assign her any mission, this is a fake letter. This mission was from last year and was completed by a squad of Jonin. He replies. Okay, I'll tell Kat once I go back to check on Anko. Another thing, can you tell Hei to pack him and Kat some clothes to stay at Anko's house until she is better? He gets a nod in return and begins to leave, however he gets a mischievous grin on his face scares the old man, causing him to sweat a little bit. Naruto does one hand sign. Sexy jutsu. He transforms into a slender lady with long black hair tied into a ponytail with breasts that are deep and wide hips, complementing her shapely ass and long slender legs, much to the dismay of the old perverted Hokage smoke surrounding her upper and lower body parts, but it still causes him to pass out from a nosebleed. Naruto takes out a camera and takes pictures of him before he wakes up. Naruto, I am labeling that an AR rank Kinjutsu, never use it again. He says while wiping his nose. Well, you may want to add my harem and reverse harem jutsu to that scroll of yours as well, label them S ranked Kinjutsus. He says he gets a blank look from the Hokage. Shadow clone jutsu, harem jutsu. What happens next makes the Hokage pass out again with a much bigger nosebleed. Standing in front of him are 20 naked ladies, however much to his disappointment again smoke is covering their upper and lower body parts. Naruto one again pulls out his camera and takes pictures. The Hokage wakes up and immediately puts them big in the scroll as ANS ranked Kinjutsus. He calls for Mina, his secretary, who falls victim to the reverse harem jutsu. Now this shocked Hiruzen because Mina was a woman who openly hated perverts and did not like that kind of thing. So Hiruzen made it an SS ranked Kinjutsu since it works on someone who isn't a pervert. Okay, Naruto never used those again. Hiruzen says, alright, by the way, why wasn't Mizuki at team assignments this morning? He asked. Oh, he was caught trying to steal the forbidden scroll and Ibiki had his way with him, too bad Anko missed out on it. But it turns out he was working for my former student Orochimaru, who gave him the curse seal. He was going to take him the forbidden scroll to join his ranks, but he won't be doing anything since he was executed. Hiruzen said. Oh well, later, and don't forget about Hade. He says and vanishes from the office back to Anko's house. The letter was a fake, but I asked him to send Hade over later with some clothes for you two to stay here overnight with her for the next couple days until she wakes up. Oh yeah, I have these for Hade, it's medical seals that won't get rid of his sickness, however it will stop the pain and his coughs as well. As he hands her about 100 seals. All he has to do is place them on his chest and the seal will instantly activate, but he has to change them once every month. He tells her before heading back to the academy. He returns to the classroom seeing Kiba trying to talk up Hinata, who isn't paying attention to him. Shikamaru is sleeping, Choji is eating a bag of chips. Shino is sitting by himself. Quietly he looks at Naruto and give him a nod, who nods back, and then he finally sees Sasuke being hounded by his two most loyal fangirls who are arguing about who will marry him and have his babies. He shakes his head and sits next to Choji, who offers him a bag of chips. Even after what I said to her earlier, she still fawns over him. Oh well, it can't be helped. He says they wait for about 10 more minutes before the Jonin senseis arrive. The first 6 teams left, then 5 minutes later Asuma and Kurenai arrive at the same time, pick up teams 8 and 10. However, Naruto notices Kurenai has a slight limp and gives her a knowing smirk that he picked up from Anko, and in return Kurenai gives him a glare that basically tells him to shut up or die. He simply smiles at her and she leaves with her team, leaving him alone with Sasuke and Sakura, who is still pestering Sasuke about something. He falls asleep and wakes up 3 hours later when Kakashi decides to show up and Sakura shouts, "You're late. My first impression is that you're all idiots, meet me on the roof in 5 minutes." He disappears in a puff of smoke and they go to the roof. Now introduce yourselves, your likes, dislikes and dreams. Kakashi says. Sensei, can you go first so we know it's done? Sakura says. Are you kidding me, she was supposed to be the Kunoichi of the year. Naruto thought. Oh okay, well my name is Kakashi Haddock, I have a few likes and some dislikes as well. My dreams for the future, well I don't feel like telling you. All he said was his name. Sakura thought. Okay Pinky, you first. Kakashi says, pointing at Sakura. My name is Sakura Haruno. What I like, I mean the person I like is. She looks at Sasuke and squeals. My dream for the future. She looks at Sasuke again and blushes with a squeal. Okay, your dislikes? Kakashi asks. Naruto, Baka and Ino Pig. Okay, you next, the brooding one. He points at Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I have no likes or dislikes. I don't have a dream because what I have I will make a reality, that is to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone. He says with a dark look on his face. Sasuke-kun is so cool, Sakura thought. Just as I expected. Kakashi thought. Itachi would kill you multiple times over before you would even blink. Naruto thought. Okay, last one. Kakashi said, uninterested in what he has to say, unlike he was with Sasuke, something Naruto picked up on. My name's is Naruto, I like my precious people, I dislike child abusers, rapists and pedophiles. My dream is to find somebody that was taken away from me as a child, become Hokage and start a family, he said. However, nobody was paying attention to him, but he didn't really care. Alright, meet me training ground 7 for your graduation exam at 7 AM. Kakashi says. Wait, I thought we were already genin. Sakura said. No, that was just a genin hopeful exam. This test tomorrow is the real one and 66% of the teams never make it. So I'll see you tomorrow at training ground 7 at 7 am. Oh, and I suggest you don't eat breakfast, you'll throw up. He vanishes in a puff of smoke. Sakura once again asks Sasuke on a date, yet he refuses and she turned blame Naruto, but he left as well. So she decided to do what she usually does. She goes to stalk Sasuke, well, watching over him from afar is what she calls it. Next day Naruto wakes up at 8:30 and eats breakfast he left at 9:45 via Shunshin. He arrived at training ground 7 where Sakura yelled at him, "You're late. Kakashi-sensei said to be here by 7, it's almost 10 Yubaka." She swings her fist at him, but he just leans back and she falls on her face and starts to complain about her dress being ruined. 10 minutes later Kakashi arrived. "Yo, you're late. Sorry, I was on my way when a black cat crossed my path, so I had to go the long way around." "Liar. I bet I know that cat," Naruto thought. "Anyway, you have until noon to get these bells," Kakashi said as he pulled out 2 bells and a timer. "But wait, Kakashi-sensei, there's only 2 bells and 3 of us." Sakura replies. "Quite observant of you, Sakura, the one who doesn't get the bell gets sent back to the academy." He says, "I can't afford to not be on a team with Sasuke-kun. I need to get those bells for us. Then he will love me and ask me to marry him." Sakura thought, "I need those bells, I have to pass an order to kill him." Our resident emo thought, "I wonder what Samui is up to right now. I know she's still alive out there. I can't feel it. I hope she's taking care of herself." Naruto thought, "After the 2 bells are collected, whoever has them can eat these bento boxes." Kakashi shows 2 bento boxes and 2 out of the 3 stomachs growled and they looked at Naruto, who was lost in thoughts until Sakura yelled in his ear, "Hey Baka," which resulted in her getting backhanded to the ground. "Will you stop yelling, damn it, it's not necessary." "What are you looking at me for?" he says. "You ate breakfast?" Kakashi stated. "Yeah, and what's the fucking problem, Cyclops?" he said, still pissed at Sakura for yelling in his ear. "I thought I told you not to eat breakfast." "No, you made a suggestion. If I suggested you go make out with that green spandex wearing freak, would you listen?" "No, you wouldn't, so let's continue. I need to get my fucking ear checked." Which was a lie. He wanted to check on Anko and see how she was doing, but they didn't need to know that. "I guess I wouldn't listen to your suggestion." "Okay, you have 2 hours, time starts now." All 3 of them vanished. Let's see, Sakura is in the bushes to my left. Sasuke is in a tree about 50 meters out and Naruto is, wait a minute. Where is Naruto? I can't sense him or smell him. Kakashi thought. He pulled out a certain orange book and began walking through the forest. "Okay, I have wires set up that should wrap him up and I'll be able to grab the bells and give one to Sasuke," she said out loud. Not even noticing Kakashi right behind her. "PSST Sakura." She turns around and Kakashi puts her in a D-rank Jinjutsu that she should break out of easily. Inside the Jinjutsu, Sakura is walking in the middle of the forest looking around. "Sakura." She turns around and sees Sasuke, but he has multiple kunai stabbed in his back. "Help me." Sasuke says and collapses and Sakura screams. Back in the real world, Sakura screams and passes out. Kakashi shakes his head at her and leaves to find Sasuke and see what he can do. Sasuke is walking through the forest when he hears Sakura scream. Kakashi must have gotten to her already. Shinobi Battle Skill Lesson 2, the illusion skill. Sakura learned that in the academy and was said to be the best at breaking them, but I guess I was wrong. That won't work on me. I'm far better than her and Naruto. Say that after you get a bell, alright Sasuke. Kakashi and Sasuke stand off before Sasuke throws some shuriken at him, which Kakashi dodged. Sasuke threw kunai at a rope that Kakashi didn't see and it released more kunai that shot out of the trap of Kakashi. Sasuke took the time Kakashi was focused on dodging and appeared behind him, going for a heel kick to the side of his head, which Kakashi blocked and grabbed his ankle, so Sasuke tried a right hook to the face, which Kakashi blocked with his hand. Sasuke used this opening to throw an overhead kick with his right leg, causing Kakashi to drop Sasuke's fist to block the kick with his forearm. Sasuke, seeing this, reaches out and touches one of the bells before Kakashi jumps back. Sasuke beings going through hand signs, shocking Kakashi that he can use a jutsu, fire style. Fireball Jutsu. He shoots out a ball of fire towards Kakashi and after a few seconds releases the jutsu and Kakashi and gone. He looks left, right and behind but doesn't see him. Earth style. Headhunter Jutsu. The hand comes out of the ground, pulls Sasuke into the ground, leaving his head visible. Shinobi skill number 3, Ninjutsu. You were right, are different than the others, but different doesn't mean better. With that, Kakashi walked away. Looking for Naruto, he finds him at the memorial stone criticizing the food he brought. "I mean seriously, this food looks like it was taken straight out of a box. It's dry as hell and has no nutrients. Why not just give us a piece of cardboard to eat, Kakashi? And what is in this one? Chicken teriyaki, it looks like dog food on top of mush." Naruto says he closes the food and sees because Kakashi was behind him. "What do you want?" Naruto asks. You're in the middle of a test and you have 10 minutes left and you haven't even tried to get a bell." Kakashi states. "Oh okay, well can I have a bell?" No, oh well I tried. Naruto, you need to actually try. By this whole test is farce. We both know the elders and council pressured you into taking a team with Sasuke so you can train him to use his Sharingan when he unlocks it, and you aren't a Sannin, so you can't take an apprentice, so even if we fail the council will reverse the decision somehow and pass us by. The AI did help. I released Sakura from that pathetic ninjutsu you put her now. I believe the test is about over with and I will let you tie me to the post. A couple minutes later they are all sitting down while Naruto is tied to the post. Kakashi tells them they all failed because they couldn't look underneath and says the actual goal of the test was teamwork. Sasuke attacks Kakashi, but Kakashi moves faster than he can see and pins him to the ground. You are all little kids, you wouldn't last long in the shinobi world. For instance, Sakura kill Naruto or Sasuke dies. He says, putting a kunai on his neck. Sakura freezes up and Kakashi gets off Sasuke and tells them about the memorial stone, having the names written off all or most shinobi who have died in battle or protecting the Leaf Village in some kind of way. Now I will give you all a second chance. Sasuke, Sakura, you can have a bento box, but Naruto doesn't get any. With that he vanishes, but Naruto can sense him in the trees in front of them. Sasuke and Sakura have an internal debate if they should feed Naruto. In the end Sasuke offers Naruto some food and Sakura, wanting to impress Sasuke, does the same. Kakashi appears angrily. I thought I said you couldn't feed Naruto any food. You disobeyed my orders. Do you have anything to say for yourselves? We're a team and we need him to be at full strength to take you on, so if it means failing then so be it, Sasuke said. Yeah, we're a team and we stick together. You fail one of us, you fail all of us. Naruto nods while inwardly waiting for this to be over. Well, if the case then you all pass. Kakashi says, confusing Sakura and Sasuke. You pass. Remember these words, those who abandon their mission are scum, however those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. With that he left to report his team passing. Sasuke left and Sakura followed him. Naruto activated his Manjutsu to Kamui out of the rope he left to begin training. Kakashi arrived as soon as the Jonin for Team 6 failed his team. Team 7 passed. He said. Everyone looked at him. Explain. Was all Hiruzen said. Well, Sakura is pathetic. She couldn't break out of a D-rank Genjutsu and was more worried about Sasuke than anything. Sasuke is at a high Genin level, maybe low chunin. He actually forced me to try a tad bit and managed to touch one of the bells. Naruto on the other hand didn't even try. I mean, he asked for a bell and I told him no and he didn't care. He actually spent most of the time criticizing my food, saying he might as well eat cardboard. That causes Kurenai to start laughing. But so funny. Of course Naruto would criticize your food. He was taught to cook by the Ichirokas and we all know how seriously they take food preparation. I've actually had some of Naruto's food before at Ichirokas. It's actually really good. She says and everybody nods at that explanation. They all knew how the Ichirokas were when it came to food. They were almost as bad as an Akimichi. Team 8 passed as well. Hokage Zamashino was the leader who came up with a plan of him trapping me with his bugs and Hinata close my Tenketsu points and Kiba give the finishing blow, although Kiba tried to protest with a plan that made absolutely no sense until Hinata agreed with Shino's plan and Kiba reluctantly agreed. Shino is around the same level as Sasuke, however he relies on his bugs too much and would be a sitting duck in a Taijutsu fight, so I would have to fix that. Hinata should be mid-chunin for how long she has been training in Taijutsu by the clan head, but her confidence issues puts her around mid-genin, and Kiba is high genin low chunin. He is just a horny little boy who hits on any female moving. I would need to fix that as well. Kurenai said. Team 10 passes. Ino is just like Sakura, which baffles me since she is the heir to the Yamanaka clan, however Choji and Shikamaru are both high genin level. Asuma says. Alright, you are dismissed and good luck. Hiruzen said. All Jonin left the office leaving him with his book until Mina walked in with a smile and 6 stacks of paperwork on a cart behind her. The Hokage starts to cry and wishes he never retook the seat. Meanwhile Naruto stopped at Ichirokas and talked to them for about 20 minutes while eating some ramen before getting the Anko special for takeout, which included 20 sticks of dango and an extra large bowl of red bean soup with a bottle of sake on the side. He pays and says goodbye and starts to make his way to Anko's apartment when feels a chakra signature following him, so he goes into an alley and suppresses his chakra and jumps to the roof. To his surprise, it's Hinata that is following him and looks confused that he disappeared from her sight. You've gotta be kidding me. I have a fangirl and she actually stalks me. Sheesh, this reminds of Sakura and Ino stalking Sasuke. He thought as he watched her leave. He shunsons to Anko's apartment. He unlocks the door and to his shock and surprise Kurenai is there as well as Hana, Haruka, and Hiruzen with Yugao in her normal clothes. However, what gets him is Anko is awake and on the couch with them. She sees Naruto and rushes to him and grabs in bone-crushing hug, thanking him over and over again. Hiruzen decides to speak up. Okay, what's going on? Why did you need us all here, Anko? Why are you here, Jiji? Don't you have paperwork to do? Naruto asks. I'm just a shadow clone. The original me is still at the office. Once I disperse he will get my memories. The clone said. So let me get this straight, you send a shadow clone to do something for you if you need to be in two different places. He gets a nod, yet you don't use the shadow clones to help you with your paperwork. All he gets is a blank look from the clone before it dispersed. Few seconds later, you can hear the Hokage scream across the entire village. Yuuk. Hiruzen then appears at Anko's apartment before he can knock. Naruto opens the door looking at him with a smug smile. You knew, didn't you? He asks Naruto, who nods happily. So why didn't you tell me? You didn't ask, Naruto said, making everyone laugh. Okay, why is everyone here, Anko? Kurenai asks. Well, first things first, I have a boyfriend. She says and kisses Iruka on the lips. Kurenai, Yugao and Hana squeals happily for their friend. Now the actual reason is this look. She puts her hair up in her high ponytail and pulls down her shirt by her left shoulder. Everybody minus Iruka and Naruto wonder what's so special about the shoulder. I don't get what's so great about your shoulder that you had to call us all over here. Hana asked. What's missing from my shoulder? Yugao notices and says, no way, but how? How would Yugao? Kurenai asks. Her cursed seal is gone. Yugao says, shocking everyone. Anko then explains what happened 2 nights ago about her meeting up with Iruka because of Naruto and the removal of the cursed seal. She was done. She looks at Naruto and notices he has a takeout bag. What's in the bag, Naru-chan? Your lunch? Nope, this is one Anko special from Ichiraku ramen, 20 sticks of dango, an extra large bowl of red bean soup and 1 bottle of sake. He says, handing it to her, and she eats like it's not tomorrow. After hanging around a few more hours, Naruto and everyone get ready to leave. As Kurenai leaves, Naruto calls out to her. Yes, Naruto, can I help you? Yes, can you tell Hinata to stop stalking me around the village? It's getting out of hand. I caught her today by going into an alley, jumped to the roof and suppressed my chakra so her Byakugan couldn't find me. I've told her before I don't like her like that and it's annoying at this point. I'll talk to her, Naruto. She said she liked you, so I told her to give it a shot and talk to you. I never knew you told her you didn't like her. I guess she thought you were joking, but I'll talk to her tomorrow. Thank you and tell Asuma I said hey. And use protection, alright? He disappears as soon as he says that because kunai flew right when his head would have been. What if Naruto destroys the council chunin exams? Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.